Recording in progress. Who is your emergency? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So the microphones are figured out now.
We're using,
I just switched over to the owl.
Okay, hopefully that's better.
Did you have a question about emergency response?
You can get in touch. You're listed on our local emergency management plan, but Dave Manning is still the principal, so we can get that corrected.
yeah, and I guess I was wondering if you guys be open to coming like once a year or ever so often still, like.
There was a time where I was down here for the select board meeting to get feedback and the rest, and pretty soon I was told, well, you probably don't have to come down, there's no question. So I was doing that already, I have no problem doing that again.
Okay. Just so we can keep connected.
Yeah, I was coming down here and also had private session off to the side that everybody had any school board issues, that way any community member could come in.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to do that.
Okay.
Happy to do it again.
Great.
I'd be happy to come by if there were things that specific things we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I would be more than willing to make that commitment.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, thank you all for coming in, and you can stay for the rest of the meeting if you want. This is some good stuff. Carl? I think we all received Carl's report. Very detailed. Action items from the board. Would you like to do a brief overview and we can come back to.
So, starting out with the NDRC grant for the industrial park. For those people who are viewing, the town did receive the finding of no significant impact for that Environmental Protection Act report that needed to be submitted back in June. Last meeting, you authorized us to submit that form 1002, which is a statement of how you're going to provide your local match. We sent that in. They said, no, you can't show an amount greater than the grant. You have to resubmit the form. We did. And the very next day, they replied and said, okay, the form is good now. So it was on Friday. Also, in that email, they said that everything is set now for they will start the process to issue the full notice to proceed, which you may remember was a critical milestone. The deadline was September 30th, so everything is clear there for the town now, and you just wait for that full notice to come in. I do have a couple of industrial park questions for you, but technically, I guess they come under the next agenda item. So we'll move ahead with the SEDS report. There was a visioning project meeting on the 4th of September, and there were about 40 residents in attendance. There will be another meeting, and you all might be contacted individually by somebody from the Planning Commission to just get your input about any projects that have been mentioned or are in the works here in the town, because they're going to try to get a comprehensive, thorough list of all these projects and somehow then bring them together. So just be aware you might be contacted, especially those of you who wear some other hats. Regarding the building communities grant for the Welcome Center repairs or improvements, that project reached a point that the Rail Trail Committee said okay to the dollar amount, but asked for a better explanation of what work was actually going to be accomplished with the slightly reduced amount. And so it stalled there. Then I was asked to get involved. And today I spoke with the contractor and explained what the town's request is and offered to make it easy for him to provide that information. Either we do something over the phone, or I can send him some emails, we could meet in person out at the trail, the Welcome Center. And he opted for me to email to him some documents that I found in the file, so he now sees what his original cost estimate was from last fall, and he provided something for the town to use as for the grant application, the town's RFP from May, and then his proposal for May. So now ball's in his court. Try to get that, and he understands better what the town is asking for. Skipping down the list there of the grants that I've been assigned, going down to the community grant, the Welcome Center steps. Again, on Friday, last Friday, I received an email from the grant administrator for V-Trans about that, asking about when the town plans to go to work on that. And in our exchange of emails, he reiterated that he did receive that Title 22 report that we submitted back in August, although it's still awaiting action by what they call their environmental review group there. His question was about when the town would expect the work to be done, and that's for the state to schedule the funding or the payment of that grant. So a lot of, to answer that question really depends on the Act 250 application, which I worked on again today. So I'm filling that out online, and I'm up to criterion 8. So if you're aware, there's 10 criteria in Act 250, but you count up all the sub criteria, there's actually 32. And so I've got up, like I said, to number 8, but 9 has sub criteria A through J. So still a little bit, like a third of the way to go through that application process. For 9 grant steps, it's an amazing amount of work because there are 2 existing land use permits on that property. Deeds show rights of way, so something else I'm gonna have to go back now on and check on is, even though these deeds from years past reference some utility easements, are there actually any utility easements there now that it's basically a ballpark? Obviously, you go out there, you can look and see there's no wires going across the ball fields, but I don't know for sure without talking to people. So I can better answer the questions in the application. But it's quite a lot of work to fill out an Act 250 application.
Carl, you get just a second.
Yeah.
The historical and archaeological report, that ground was all disturbed when they built that. So that's already been done. All they're doing is putting those 9 steps in. Why is this so stinking cumbersome?
It's a requirement of that grant from V-Trans.
That's ridiculous. It's like reinventing the wheel all over again.
Regarding the Vermont Community Foundation grants, I mentioned that the last report pointed out that there was an additional grant from DCF that was not on the list originally given to me. And that was for playground improvements and checking into that more. Isabel and Tom and I would be working on that, and it's our initial assessment that the money should be invested in the Legion Field playground. However, you have this bigger Legion Field decision to make. So our suggestion is that you consider improvements to the Legion Field playground, but no action be taken until after you make the final decision about what's to happen at Legion Field. I guess everything else has that is fairly self-explanatory.
Was the Legion Field, the Vermont Community Foundation grant? Who was that awarded to, just the town? Okay.
This post flood, there was 75,000, it was part of the response from the flood, there was 30,000 for Legion Field, 20,000 for the rail trail, and then 25,000.
25,000 for playground improvements.
Yeah, it was part of a larger 75, it was, right, before I started, was what it, but then everything.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they approached us or if it's something that Beth Boy or Carl.
Do we need to make a decision on this tonight, or
On which,
are we making any decisions on this tonight, or plans for it?
for the Legion Field,
Or no, for the playground? You want to wait until after we do the Legion Field? Okay.
Isabel is getting quotes for types of equipment, including install, to then bring to that bigger picture. So she'll have square footage and
Okay.
what it takes, so that way, if it fits in, great, if not, then I guess that would be the decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
dropping back then to the industrial park, if there are no other questions.
Which is our next item.
So on the SEDS report on the front page, I meant to show that there's a couple of questions there for the select board. The first one is item A, the lot line question. So if you can picture those drawings, Road A is the main road that comes off of Route 15.
And Road B goes from Road A. There are 5 small lots.
5 small lots, correct?
Cul-de-sac at the end. The suspense is there, Paul. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Can you hold them on, hold them in until the light
I thought I was doing that, but
goes away? Okay.
So for whatever reason, the lot lines along Road A show the front lot line coming out just to the edge of the utility right-of-way on either side of the road. Meaning that the town would retain ownership of the road and the additional easement for area for the utilities to go in, the underground utilities. Along Road B, the plans got drawn up showing the lot line, front lot line going out to the center of the road. And so it's just a detail that needs to be straightened out, and we're not sure how it ended up that way, but just to make sure, we want to ask you as the owners and Umley Engineering, and I would recommend that you use the design that's shown for Road A so that it's crystal clear that the town owns the land that the road sits on, additional right-of-way for the road, and the additional right-of-way for the utilities to be located.
Consensus of the board?
Yeah.
Maintain ownership of the right of way?
Okay, thank you.
Not hearing no objections from him, he's good.
The second matter is paragraph B regarding the tree removal. So if you're not aware, there is a bat habitat restriction applied to this property, and tree removal would not be allowed after April 1st. But considering the timing of this project, the town would not be able to actually get anything done because there's not going to be enough time to get through the Act 250 process, seek bids, award a contract, and have somebody get out there and remove the trees under the general construction contract. An alternative is the town arranged for that tree removal separately. And get it done before April 1st. And it's possible that it could be a no expense matter to the town. In fact, it's possible it could return some money depending on the value of the trees that are there. So the question for you tonight is, I guess, two questions. Are you generally okay with this concept? And second, if you are, would you authorize us to begin the process of retaining a qualified forester to then assist the town with the timbering contract? Say qualified forester, I've already received a list of state certified foresters as provided by the Vermont County Forester. We've got a long list of foresters to submit an RFP to want to go this route.
We need to move forward as quickly as possible. And on this to get this done. If it doesn't get done, it's gonna get held up for another year, basically what you're saying.
Yes.
So this needs to get done as soon as possible.
Paul, I started with Peter last time.
Yes, okay,
Adrian, Peter. General consensus of the board is yes, please move forward with
Thank you.
drafting an RFP.
Next item might be a little more complicated. It's regarding the deer wintering area regulation. So, if you, just a little background in case many members are not aware that the land in your 17 acres does encroach on the 300-foot buffer area for the deer wintering area. And that's an Act 250 consideration. It's believed by some people, including one of your Conservation Commission members,
It's actually our tree board as well.
and also works for the agency heavily involved in this matter. It's believed by him and some other people that the town purchased the Prindle lot for this very purpose. The purpose being that the Prindle lot would serve as off-site mitigation for the loss of the deer wintering area or the area that is impacted by the industrial park being built there.
That was discussed years ago.
Now, the Prindle law was purchased way before the industrial park. but-
Right.
Well, the
But the
industrial park,
discussion of trading that was discussed a long time ago.
And it's been part of the plans.
so, but you think that the Prindle lot was purchased before 2010 when the industrial park?
Yeah, I mean, that was purchased when my uncle was
Long time.
2000.
That's kind of old news. That's all-
Rosemary can tell you when it was purchased, but
Okay,
it was a long time ago.
but it has been discussed that the Prindle lot might serve as the offsite.
Oh, yeah.
mitigation.
Could Lois tell us when it was purchased?
I can't tell you when it was purchased, but I can tell you that the Conservation Commission participated with the Select Board in saying that that would be reserved for the exchange on the industrial park.
Yeah, for the deer wintering area
So
buffer.
it's probably in both sets of minutes. I can look mine like the whole.
I was just going to ask if you could do that, Lois, because we are going to need, I'm told we're going to need documentation to that effect.
So
Those minutes would be,
could the select board make a motion in this meeting too for the minutes?
let's get
Okay,
that, and then you could reference the commission's action.
general consensus of the board is fine with using the Prindle lot to offset.
That was discussed a long time ago.
What's that?
I don't know why we're beating a dead horse today.
Yes,
I'm sorry. I'm wondering, I couldn't get any sound at home. It might be me, but there was no sound.
should be fixed now. Probably as you were driving down, GMATV said, nobody can hear you.
Keep having mic issues, we're trying to get new ones or more or something.
That's why I'm here.
Do you have the answer as far as you need tonight? General consensus is yes.
Yes, that's one, and there's another part. to that. And that is with you, are you okay if, once we get a template from Fish and Wildlife, to ask the town attorney to begin drafting the conservation easement that's needed to document that the Prindle lot is the offset for the deer winter area here?
Paul,
Yes.
Mike,
Of course, and I thought it was done a long time ago.
Peter,
Yes.
Adrian. General consensus, yes. We can make motions if you want, Kyle.
No, I just, so it's, I know it's okay to start that process.
I think it's
Get
just,
it.
I think there's different employees on the other side of
Yeah,
the
I
brand.
did go through the digital files that I've been given, looking for information on this point, and could not find anything, so I thought I better try to clear it up while I'm here tonight, so that.
It's a tough.
Thanks a lot for doing that.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
crazy.
Last one is covenants. I've
So-
not heard from the board. Other than, we talked kind of last meeting about covenants. Do you have one that you?
So I contacted VLCT, and they did not have any templates. And they did not have any ideas of where to get a template. And they said, if we were to do anything with covenants, we should have our attorney draft it.
Sounds like a VLCT answer.
Carl gave me a couple of covenants from, both from Barry, from a while back. I happen to agree with you and others who said it, if we're gonna do something with covenants, keep it really simple. I had to chuckle at some of the ones in this Wilson Industrial Park. Specifying things like the size of loading docks and landscaping had to be approved by the grantor.
Parking lot location.
Yeah, so a couple of- I can see why the idea of keeping it simple is a really good idea. But what I did see were a few things that are worth just tossing out there to see if we want to do anything at all with covenants. One being waste disposal. This one, makes clear some requirements around the removal of waste from properties. Building setbacks of, from the lot line. Lot coverage requirements. This one says not more than 50% of any lot may be covered with buildings. This one also prohibits dwellings or places of human habitation. So without getting too far into some rather almost humorous specifics, seemed like maybe something we don't want to dismiss out of here.
Do you have a recommendation?
I don't.
Does anybody from the board have them? And my initial thoughts were like, the state laws cover everyone. My initial thoughts on covenants. And we do have a solid waste ordinance for disposal purposes. I guess the future board could pass any ordinance if there was a massive problem through the road. Environmental pollution,
That's clear.
sound pollution, and light pollution, I guess, for my My
They
big
also be covered, you know, you could address those in the Act 250 application without having covenants like lighting. Say that the town or the permit can be written to require, you know, lighting that pass the light downward and does not extend out on the lot line, so that you don't have neighbors being impacted by big lights from the
It's
business.
pretty standard anyway, isn't it, through most buildings in the state of Vermont today?
Well, my prior experience dealing with Act 250, it was, I don't know how they're treating it now, but
It's pretty well there, I think.
That's why.
If you can't even put 9 steps in, without going through an act of Congress, I would imagine most every covenant's pretty well covered by Act 250 in the state of Vermont.
That's why I said mine were really high level.
Yeah,
So I'm open to discussing them for sure.
I don't want to hold this up anymore than it's already been all these years.
Yeah, we need our attorney to start working on the lickety split if we're going to go, right, Carl?
yes, but the attorney would need to know, you know, what written in there.
They would need some direction.
Want me to go through this again, make a list, send it around?
It must be boilerplate stuff around already without reinventing the wheel for us.
Well, the boilerplate language would be pretty common, but the details could vary quite a bit depending on the location and the owners of the industrial parks plan for it, you know, how they want it to be developed. Some might be geared towards more non-industrial type of commercial uses, not retail, but not industrial either. Others might be geared towards industrial kind of uses. So I think when the plans you were looking at, it might say that like banking facilities are not allowed, or restaurants or whatever, because there was a desire not to have a lot of, you know, traffic going there for things other than the actual locators in the industrial park.
I've always been confused on like what our vision is. Like town's vision, the select board vision, whatever vision is for the industrial park. It's gonna be a light industrial park, but do we want like restaurants there? Is it gonna be mostly like warehouses, like little warehouses? I don't know what the vision is, and I don't know who is deciding that. Are we deciding that? What's happening? But
Could decide what covenants is.
And so the last or next to last industrial park team meeting, it was pointed out to me that the select board did address the matter of mixed use last winter, and it's sometime in very early 2025, I guess, you did decide to ask NBRC for an amendment to the plan, and NBRC approved it so that there could be residential uses. And today, when I was searching the files for that other thing, I came across 2 plans. One was for a commercial park, and it showed the lots being laid out a certain way. And then the mixed use park, where that road B I referred to earlier is put in and has 5 smaller lots off of it. And I guess they thought was that those smaller lots might be where residential units would be located if somebody wants to put housing in there.
If I'm not speaking out of turn here, I've always thought it was supposed to be industrial stuff, business, generating jobs for the community. And then the amendment for the housing was something that was put in at the last minute, that if we could not fill it with industrial type jobs, that we would leave that open for housing. But it was never primary housing. It was always job generating property and a tax base for the community of Johnson.
So is it your understanding then, back in last winter when the select board considered this point, were they talking about having, like reserving everything for commercial business uses until a certain time period, say after 7 years, and then if
We didn't throw a time.
you did not throw
Didn't throw a
time.
time on it, we just, if we couldn't fill it, and a board down the road has the option of putting housing in there if they can't fill it with industry, you see? And that's why we opened it up, so our foot would be in the door. Now, is that right, Tom?
That's how I remember it. It was, there was no timeline, but it was, in the event, the idea was that it's an industrial park, but there was this moment where you had to decide for the NBRC grant now or say no forever. And it felt irresponsible to close the door on an opportunity that might be a different need of the town 20, 30, down the road. So the door's open, but I mean, that's kind of my understanding.
We just wanted to keep.
I've been told though, at the meeting, public hearing, we're discussing the bond, that housing was discussed as part of that. I have not gone back and looked at the minutes of that meeting, but I've been told that housing was part of that conversation, and there was no only as a last resort kind of conversation. So I'm just throwing that out there, that I'm not sure, all the way back to the beginning of this.
Well, I was the one that kind of jumped ship on that, because it was brought to my attention when I was in Afghanistan, that was talked about in an open meeting. When they had a meeting at the gymnasium, I believe, to talk about this industrial park in 2010.
Bond, yeah.
And so I was not privy to that, but I was pointed in that direction. And so I guess I was the kind of the tie-breaking vote on that, to put that in. And I believe Evan mentioned that it wasn't discussed in that informational meeting, and we were not very truthful with the voters at that particular meeting. That's what you're kind of implying, I think. And so I reserve the right to change my mind because I received new information. Does that answer your question?
To be honest, I have no idea what you're saying.
I'm not Joe Biden.
No, I'm not throwing any stones here. I'm just saying that this is a conversation that I've had with somebody in town. And so I don't think that if the board at the last meeting where housing was now thrown in as a last resort for venues up there, I don't think that was the original conversation, or so I understand.
Well, that's right. That's just what I said during that meeting that we had for the bond vote, that it was not talked about. And I think it was given, it was given to the voters that we weren't going to do any housing. That was my understanding, that housing wasn't really talked about.
I think there was a strong split in the board where, sorry to pin anybody, but there were 2 people who wanted housing, and then there was 2 people who did not want housing. And that, like, kind of at that meeting, one of the selling points was to not close the door on it. And so there might have been different messaging because of that split board for several months. But I think the final solution in that meeting when the vote was made was because we shouldn't limit the possibilities of future sale. And that's how I remember it. That's.
I agree with that. I'm not debating that. The select board decision. I'm going back to the original meeting, was housing discussed, and this is true that it was.
This was in 2010?
Yeah.
Okay, it was discussed in 2010.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's the article.
I have the article in the newspaper.
That was
I can
the
send it to you.
information that changed my mind.
Okay. That's why I changed my mind.
I feel like we're not coming to the answer on covenants, but views of the park. I mean, we call it an industrial park. It's really, the grand scheme of things, like commercial business park. People can correct me if they don't agree, but
I think it's confusing for residents, because I talked to some people and they think we're putting like microbreweries up there and like restaurants and stuff, and there's no clear direction. And I would like clear direction so we can make proper covenants and like, do we need to put in sidewalks and streetlights or like, I don't know. Which way the vision for it, so.
I think in the past, we've been pretty open to any commercial sale. Not tying a future board to a design, even though I guess we really couldn't, other than covenants. Well, we would be strapping a future board if we did that.
Well, I think we're making it harder on a future board by not having a clear path.
Sure.
The longer we fill it up, the longer it's gonna be for that thing, before they get a shovel over there.
We need the logging done, we just started that. You know, so it's-
No, to help, I could offer to check your municipal plan, which at the back of that, it has a list of different districts, land use districts, I believe they're called. And see what that says could possibly happen in that location. And if you want, I could work with Peter to maybe make some categories which could form like an outline on different points that might be covered by covenants. Like Adrian's talking about uses, or Peter brought up setbacks. Outdoor property maintenance might be a concern. You could look at that, and that might help structure your discussion then. If you're thinking about what you might like to see covered.
Yeah.
And there's another possibility, is that if you're unfortunate that this turns into an application that has hearings, or somebody has raised some objections and with concerns, you might address those concerns by amending your application, including some covenants.
So timing wise, saying you think they can submit the 250 permit October 1st?
That's what they were saying in our last meeting, and just using that date as an example, because this team has kicked that around. Susan Baird was indicating that she thought it was possible that a permit could be issued in time to have that tree work done. The deadline.
So if we're going to pursue covenants, when do you need them?
Right. That's why I suggested that unless you've got this really, or and you really feel strongly about having something, maybe you forego it. But if you do have some interest, must meet again on Monday, the 6th of October, I think it is.
Yeah,
First Monday in
sure.
October.
Right around there.
One option, covenants aren't available because of the timing needed for Act 50 planning and, zoning or form-based code or town ordinances can play the part of a future covenant, and that restrictions could be made, at the time, later down the road as the vision comes to light or through other means. Right? By not putting in covenants now, you're not having a free for all later. You're
Still able to guide.
As long as we enact zoning before we sell anything.
sorry, what?
So as long as we enact zoning before we sell our lots, yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then I would say, why don't we proceed with all deliberate speed, words of a previous Supreme Court. And forego the covenants of this.
You're saying we could add covenants later?
Not covenants, but through ordinances or form-based code or zoning, you could put restrictions on certain districts, which may fall under light industrial. So, and then that way a permit would have to then go through an appeal process through the DRB in order to be not as strong as a covenant, but it's.
Yeah, well, that is this thing I want to talk to.
Yeah. What's your thought on that?
Ordinances would do it. We still run into the problem of actually enforcing them, but they would exist.
It would still have to go, if anybody appealed, it would go to a DRB, and if they appealed that, it would go to the environmental court, which is probably the same place arguing covenants would end up to. So,
Are there restrictions with other industrial parks or property maintenance and things like that, are those common covenants or?
Well, my experience with that Wilson and Clark, they were there since it started in 1975. I think that the original set of covenants and the first businesses that located there set the tone for the park, and so, and it continued. Those new people, new owners come in, they see what the existing properties look like and how they're maintained. They sort of continue that look.
Gotta get the right people in there first.
Yes. Somebody that was doing housing development once told me that they were going to put spec buildings up at the entrance to their subdivision to help set that tone.
So you're not opposed to proceeding without?
That is correct.
I just like boilerplate, like, covenants, like waste management, just like basic ones.
We have an ordinance for.
Okay. Yeah, or like environment, like, I don't know, just environmental things and just like basic ones.
based on the suggested uses from the last economic study, this industrial park might model the one off of, in Hardwick, I think it's called Industrial Park Road and Junction Road. And it might be worthwhile pulling, reaching out to the town of Hardwick and saying, hey, can I see, do you have any covenants for the Fisher Bridge? And because both of those have, I think we were thinking more about agricultural and food manufacturing, and those, based on that study, and both those industrial parks in Hardwick carry those industries. So you might be able to find boilerplate ones that out of theirs that you can just copy and paste quickly.
Yeah.
Without holding things up.
Paul,
I'm happy to work with Peter on that. I think that's a good suggestion, Tom.
Mike,
Whatever. I want to get it moving as quick as possible.
I do too.
So whatever way gets it moving is what I'm for. If that means starting without covenants, it's fine with me.
Me as well. I don't know if that's actually an answer.
No, it is.
Okay. Anything else
So
industrial?
we'll
I don't think it was an answer, actually.
revisit this at the next meeting. Looking at some potential boilerplate.
That's why I said I don't think it's actually an answer.
I would propose that we look at something this week and either get back to the board with boilerplate suggestions or say, go forth without.
Didn't I say that a month ago?
Didn't we say that years ago?
No, seriously, honest
Yeah.
question, when we first talked about this a month ago.
And to authorize Paul, Peter, and Carl to, if there's covenants worth doing, have them to be voted on by October 6th or not at all. Then there's deadline and action.
That's fine with me too.
If there's nothing about October 6th, we're moving on, Carl. Anything else? That's all right.
Nothing else for me. Any other questions?
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you very
You
much.
do a good job.
Any other questions from Adrian? Peter, Paul,
Thank you very
guess
much.
we're good.
I'm sorry, one other thing, the Legion Field facilitator RFP, I did look at that. My only comment is on the response deadline. Just wondering if it's too short.
Yes, it was short. I don't remember what I put down, to be honest, but.
19th, which is Friday.
That is at the end of our meeting, but
Yeah.
if you've reviewed it and it's your only comment, we will.
Yeah, I just wanted to let me know that before that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you much, Carl.
Have a good night.
You as well.
Thank you very much.
Up next, we have Josh Clark.
Good afternoon.
How's it
Good
going?
evening. Good. I am Josh Clark, I'm the Regional Sales Director with Allegiance Trucks. I'm here to talk about some options and some of the situation that we're trying to deal with and trying to work, forward, as we are trying to deal with these unforeseen issues that have popped up during the truck purchasing process, and trying to figure out a way to, one, explain the process from start, from the beginning, from the order to where we sit today and what is kind of expected to come. I guess I don't know how familiar with this whole process, I guess you all are coming to go from the beginning, or what's your kind of understanding of the process on your end?
We have a couple of board members.
Okay.
Yeah, brief recap would be helpful.
Yeah, sure. So, I wrote down some notes, I'll pull these up. The truck was ordered, I want to say back in November of 2024, at which time it was a truck and body package. Usually that's what we've always done, as a truck dealer. We provide a purchase price for not only the chassis, in this case, International, which we are the OEM, dealer for, which also comes with the body package, the plow, the wing, the dump body, all of that side. That comes from a third party. In this case, it's Viking Chavez. They're out of Williston. And that's, been a pretty common process until recently. What started this constraint, I would say, on timelines to get these body, equipment installs taken care of, is there used to be multiple other vendor options within the state of Vermont that the municipalities had options to go with. One of those was Tenco, which used to be out of Barrie. And then you also had HP Fairfield, which is out of Morrisville. So you had two other options on top of Viking, to go to. Both of those, HP Fairfield and Tenco, they're all owned by one joint group, which is called Alamo Group, and it's a global company. So Alamo actually pulled their install facilities out of the state of Vermont. So those now are done in Hopkinton, New Hampshire. So what's happened in that timeline, since then, is that, do they still provide body options and quotes and all that? Yes. But a lot of customers within Vermont, especially municipalities, feel that because for parts and serviceability, they need to go to one vendor that's within the state. So that's kind of funneled a lot of, I would say, the majority of municipal purchases, not just through Allegiance International, but through every OEM, every municipality in the state of Vermont, all those types of customers going into that. So which has caused an extreme, backlog on their side of things. On top of that, I will say some of the tariff fees and some of that, most of these bodies come out of Canada. So that has caused a constraint and supply chain issues and things like that. So at the original order time, like I said, back in November, the expected delivery time to you and the customer, truck, body, everything to go, was supposed to be in fall of 2025. That was the timeline that we were given. And that is on, if we talk to Jason as well, at the road foreman, he was expecting the same timeline. So in our side of things, we work with, Jason on the spec, we work with, the Viking distributor to say, hey, this is what your side of the package is. When does everybody want the truck to be in? What's the expected timeline for that truck to be, worked on at the body vendor, as an example? So we were given a kind of a window. Sure, no problem. We'll get the truck here. So the truck was built in April. It was on April 15th. The truck was built at the factory, and it arrived at our facility, I believe, May 17th, and that kind of roughly that window. So the truck has been in our yard, since then. we've waited knowing that it's going to the body company, throughout that process. And actually, we initially started having the conversation asking, Viking, hey, when do you want this truck? When are we expecting to get this in? What's the timeline? And we kind of kept getting a little bit of a, oh, we're thinking this time, oh, not pointing a finger at them, but just was kind of a, little bit of a concern. I talked to Jason about it. He actually came in one day. We met for the first time, him and I, and we discussed it. He was like, well, I was told that was supposed to be plowing snow this winter, going into this year. And that's what we were expecting. And the update that we got from Viking is they are not expected to even touch this unit until at least Q2 of 2026. So this turnaround on the body side, whether it's fault or not fault, like I said, there is a bottleneck for sure that we have to kind of take into consideration. But that was an unforeseen, unexpected, timeline extension that we're kind of caught in the middle. And I say we as both the town of Johnson and Allegiance, because you guys are expecting a truck, right? You guys are expecting a new truck to start plowing. You guys are expecting to have a trade that was supposed to come off of your books going towards this. I wanted to put more maintenance costs into that trade, things like that. Which, like I said, so there's a few kind of, we're caught in the middle on this one here. We're kind of, in a lack of better term, kind of held hostage on the third party of getting this, completed package, delivered. As far as, our process when the truck gets invoiced, same thing as like car dealers and equipment dealers, things like that. When the truck gets invoiced by the OEM, and this can go for trucks, like I said, it can go for a Ford pickup, it can go any dealer. When the OEM invoices you, you have a term limit of when you have to pay the OEM by. Now, if you pay in cash for that truck, in this case, upwards of 100, 160, 70, $80,000, or you can get a what they call floor plan. So you have a line of credit with banks, floor plan. You put that unit on floor plan, and then we have to pay a monthly interest rate that goes towards that. Now that interest rate isn't a monthly payment like you would have if you went out and bought a car. It's just the interest cost that's going towards that. Once you get it past a certain period of time, then that's when you have to start making real curtailment fees and big expenses towards that bill. So in this case, for this model and the cost value that we have on floor plan, this chassis, it costs us in interest fees roughly $35 to $40 a day. So over the course of a month, we're paying out roughly $1,000 to $1,200 a month in interest on that unit. So since, I wrote this down, so since May 17th, we've already paid out $4,235 roughly of floor plan interest to that cost. And that comes right out of our bottom line of our side of it, which we're expecting a little bit of that turnaround. We're not really arguing with that. There's always a little bit of time that we have to wait on that. But to now, that's to today. That's to today's date. If we then look at just going to June 1st, that is an additional $9,000 of floor plan interest that we have to then pay. So what we're saying is, hey, we can't really keep floating this expense and we're like losing money at this point, for a third party vendor that their timeline has been increased significantly throughout the process. So what we're trying to do is work with municipalities, which, trust me, I have this conversation every single day. You and I have talked about this many times. Same conversation with customers. And that's, like I said, the last probably 2 months, I've had this conversation with at least 15 to 20 other municipalities. And I understand it's not the best situation for the town. It's not the best situation for me, because trust me, I don't really want to be here having this conversation, and it's kind of a hard conversation to have, right? But we're trying to figure out how can we work together and figure this situation out on this unit today, and then figure out a plan for the next truck in the future, how we can kind of plan accordingly if there is another opportunity that presents itself, so that we don't have to have this kind of situation again. So I guess that's where I start, and we've got some options and situations within off of that. I spoke a lot see what your guys' thoughts were on that initial say.
For the select board, this is an expensive purchase for us.
Mhm.
I think, I mean, I'm trying to remember. It was like a $311,000 purchase. It was about 112.5 or so. That was the fit up.
Correct.
So
It
we're
was
talking
310,000.
112.5 was the fit ups. We're talking about $198,000 purchase we're talking about here.
The purchase
It's not a
price,
truck.
the purchase price was 310,611.
And the fit up was,
The fit up on the body, that includes extra warranties and whatnot. The body package from Viking is 112,500
yeah,
at the order timeline. Now, we're offering $100,000 in trade value that comes back to that. So just keep that in mind as well.
right. The financed amount was 210 or whatever it was. And for me, I mean, I was on the board when we went through this process. We put it out to bid to multiple vendors, assuming that's not a surprise. There was a couple advantages to international, but one of them was the guarantee, right? Because we actually got a really competitive bid from Western Star, and they said, we can't really guarantee when your body can be done. And it was $5,000 difference or something. And when you're talking 310 grand, $5,000 is.
Yeah.
It's more than a rounding error, but the guarantee was worth it.
What guarantee are you saying on that?
Western Star was saying, we can sell you the truck, we can't guarantee when your body is. The bid we had from International said we can get it to you.
We presented it, we presented it as a package sale. So it's, you write one check for the truck and the body gets invoiced to Allegiance. You don't have to separate the process, was the initial, presentation, correct?
Right.
But as far as guaranteeing, the hard part is, like I said, is we're reliant on that one vendor, which is the same vendor that Viking or that Charlie Boys from Western Star would have offered. Same of any other truck OEM has to go to this one vendor for the body. So it would have been the same situation across every OEM, just depending on how it's presented.
Yeah, I was just saying, that for me, Western Star was presenting it as I really don't know when we can build it.
Yeah.
So it was a little more upfront with I guess it wouldn't have been as much of a surprise coming from Western Star. Maybe we should outfit them ourselves, get rid of this headache for a future board, get our own build dates.
Well, I think we have two things happening, and I think we need to separate them, and get through this first truck that is now on the floor and go over all the options for that, put it to bed, and then October 6th, let's go back out. Maybe I was gonna ask your permission, can I put out an RFP so we can order a new truck on October 6th? And maybe we don't put an RFP out to truck dealers because they're all about 2 to 3 months of build time. But just give Jason the authority to just get on Viking's book for 2 years, and then in 18 months, we put it out to bid with a 6 months window, so then there's only a 2 to 3 month gap. Jason's okay with that. I think I'm okay with it, and I know Jason's talked to you about this. I think you're gonna talk briefly, but more extensively with Jason.
Yeah.
I think that's probably moving forward, but like, that's a very different, I think we need to put this first truck to bed, and hopefully tonight.
Another thing to think about with that, I don't want to spend too much time if you don't want to, but right now, that's the window of time for trucks. We can get the trucks in a pretty quick turnaround. But something we have to think about is in 2027, January 1st, there's new emissions that come, okay? And with that, like in this case, we have a Cummins engine. Everybody offers a Cummins engine. And that new engine in 2027, January 1, from Cummins costs about at minimum $25,000 more than it does today. So what's happening right now, what all of the industry is planning for, and this is a really hard constraint due to the situation, the economy has come down and all OEMs combined are doing about 1/3 of the business year over year than what we're used to. Usually the industry-wide sells about 350,000 new trucks, all OEMs a year. Right now we're in the 140, 150 maybe. So what's happening is you've got layoffs happening, you've got, big cuts happening, at these OEMs because of the economy's down. And we're worried that what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a big pre-buy before the new emissions comes out. So now you're trying to figure out new emissions, people are trying to get back on the board before the new trucks come out. And now you're gonna have a quick ramp up of orders, but you've already had to cut employee staff. You've already had to, pull back on, the infrastructure, what you're doing. So there's then it may balloon out. And it's a hard thing for you guys to understand. It's a hard thing for me to understand. And I'm in this business every single day. I have these conversations quite often. There's a lot of moving parts right now. So I just want that to be made aware of so that we don't expect that we can get that 3-month turnaround on the chassis I hope it does. I hope it stays, but there's a lot of moving parts right now.
13,000 worth of interest versus 25,000 worth of.
Yeah, no,
It's there's a gain there
Mhm.
to be.
What's the board wanna do?
So can you clarify what I heard you say? You thought there was a guarantee of delivery for international? Is that?
That's what I was being told. That was a factor for me. I like some features of Western Star better. But that's nothing against international. It's just, things are done differently in some places.
By that, what do you mean by that, I guess?
The cabs are bigger. I can go for like a joyride.
Yeah.
That extra couple inches, really nice.
So what's the options for,
I put some questions in the packet that kind of laid some of them out. It's actually the email that I wrote to Josh.
okay,
Right, but I don't even know if we can legally do this. And I questioned it last time.
What's that?
I don't think we can finance something for 1 year and turn around and finance it for 5 years after. There is, I can pull up the law if you want, but we are only legally allowed, you could check with our treasurer if you'd like, to take out loans for equipment in the highway up to 60 months. Period. Over that, we have to have a special town meeting, and I believe that's an Australian ballot vote. So we have to schedule a meeting 30 days from whenever it's noticed, to have an informational hearing within 3 days of that. And the voters actually have to approve it. That's more than 60 months for equipment is not in our hands.
Okay, is that what the bond length was expected to be 60 months?
Every loan that we ever take on equipment is 60 months. That's part of our capital equipment plan. Because we can legally do that and make that decision.
It's for a purchase and under the treasurer's authority.
It's for a purchase, which we are purchasing this truck, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how your bond and loan information is laid out.
We usually get like a.
Because it could be, because a lot of times, that may make sense, I'm not, disagreeing. I personally haven't heard that, you guys do this, I know, so. There is terminology, maybe this helps, maybe it doesn't help, but I was made aware, probably a month ago or so, that the reason that municipal loans are considered municipal leases is because then you get away from that side of that. It's listed as a lease, it's a lease to own. I don't know if that helps or it doesn't help.
I've read.
It's a caveat to
And-
skirt the law.
Yeah,
No, actually, VLCT, so in the past, you can do a lease through the treasurer, without going to the body. And so I think we could easily pull up that language from VLCT, and that I know I've received in the past, and I'm happy to get it for the board. And that this is how select boards do it, and it's done through the budget process, where you're still being transparent, that you're leasing this for X number of years, and it's a lease to own option as opposed to a purchase option. I mean, essentially, it's just wording.
Yeah, it's a wording thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to
Wording
cause
avoid.
law concern, I'm trying to just figure out how we can,
Yeah, by the time we take delivery of this truck, it's gonna be a year old.
Well, I mean, the truck is on the ground, ready to go as it
I
sits now.
know, but once it's all fitted,
Yep.
it's gonna be a year old. Now, how about the warranty extensions and the trade-in value on the old truck?
Yeah, I mean, that all kind of falls into play, right? Again, it's one of those things where we're trying to offer the best opportunities and the best ideas that we can to figure out what's gonna work best, for us and our side of it, as well as not trying to put the town in a situation where we you guys aren't comfortable with, because that doesn't benefit us in the long run, right? If we force you into a corner to try to, force our hand because it benefits us today, but then that makes it so that it doesn't matter what our pricing is later on, you don't want to do business with us. That doesn't gain any value, right?
So you're gonna honor the trade-in, and you're gonna give an extension on the warranty then?
So the warranty situation, what we can do is, and the option, again, whether it's feasible or not, what we had offered originally was if we can do a 1 year, lease, basically, where as of today, not today, but as of, just for reference speaking, you would sign, this, leasing opportunity for 1 year, and your first payment and only payment is due 1 year from signature. So for reference example only, if we sign today, that's 9/15, your first payment wouldn't be due until 9/15 of 2026, right? So your one and only payment would be for a year from now. So there's no upfront cost to the town doing that. Your warranty does start, because I have to process it with international and state that the truck is delivered and it's under your name. And the warranty starts whether the truck is being used or not. Your truck, if it's building in Q2, like what Viking is telling us, that's supposed to be the process, then your warranty, then we can update the warranty as what they call an in-service date. So I use this example, I don't mean to go around, on other customers, but as an example, Green Mountain Power buys 20 some odd trucks a year. And when their chassis arrives, we do the same thing. We sell them the chassis, they get the body put on, they pay for the whole package that way. And then they come back to me and say, this VIN, this is the mileage, this is the in-service date. Perfect, thank you. We go into our service portal, update that warranty start date, and your warranty starts as of that day.
Okay, so there will be no change in the warranty?
Well, as long as it's within a year timeline.
Right.
So as of right now, but what I'm being told from Viking, that's the timeline that we would be fitting in. So that would work fine for us.
You have till May 17th to have that body put on.
It's not it's a year from delivery to the customer. So as an example, reference only, we signed today, that would take it into consideration as of delivering to the customer today, in this case, probably tomorrow, because I'm not gonna deliver it in system tonight. So it's set up as the 16th of September. So we would have until the 16th of September, 2026 to go in and update that warranty start date, so that there wouldn't be any loss of warranty during that time.
Okay, what's gonna happen to your 35 to $40 a day interest on that rate?
So if we were to go through this or another option that would work better for the town, we're open to suggestions. But if we were to find a way to have that unit paid off, then we pay off the floor plan, the truck gets delivered, and there's no expense, furthermore, right?
For you, right? We incur interest for the whole year that we are leasing.
Yeah, there is interest.
Yeah.
So we pay,
We pay that interest.
not in a lump sum at the end.
Or, again, the other option that I'm trying to find other options around this, because nobody likes to act with the price.
Right.
Unfortunately, if you were to say, look, this was the plan, this is what we want to do, and we're not able to make these for one reason or another, which is fine, we would just have to say, hey, look, it was not our doing, which has caused this delay, which we don't feel that we have the responsibility to cover this additional $14,000, $13,000 of cost that's going to us. If we want to wait, we can, but then that cost, some towns and some municipalities have said, we will, take on that floor plan expense up to a certain, we're talking a set dollar amount per month until that truck is delivered. Because then that, again, takes the burden off of us and off of our expense, where we're not, again, losing, a considerable amount of money.
But if we cancel the contract?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see that being a big benefit to the town. I don't see, if you start over with a new order, the bodies are, if you were to place a new order today, your body's 2 to 3 years out.
Well, what if we start over? So like, do you have a buyer for your cabin chassis who you could put something other than a dump body on it?
No, not at the moment.
Because what if you just canceled the order and then we reordered a new truck? So then there'd be like a 3 months, you could sell that to whoever and a new truck would come.
Mhm.
Would you honor the previous trade-in and previous price?
The big thing with that is trying to figure out what does that do for, what body are we gonna be able to put on?
Same exact thing, so we hold our build date at Viking, that's,
The problem is though, is to get that new body, if we were to say, hey, we're gonna order a new body, we're 3 years out to get that new body.
well,
So now we're
let's
stuck.
keep the build date we already had. We have a build date in Q2.
I'm saying this truck has this body package with Viking. So if we pull that order, then what are we supposed to do with this truck? We have to have that body package to go on. We can't sell that truck to another customer without a body package. Because that next customer that has to wait 3+ years, 2+ years to get a new body for that truck that's on the ground today. So what benefit, are we gonna have to sell that as a chassis? There's what kind of,
So it's not our build date at Vikings, it's yours, is what you're saying. If we cancel the order, we do not get that build date at Vikings, you have it.
well, again, it was sold as a package deal. So it's in Vikings charging Allegiance for. Let me get that for you.
No, it's good, nobody's annoying.
Okay.
So we were talking about separating them, third party and Clark's, or,
I am a Clark, so I know how it goes.
yeah, right, Allegiance.
Yes.
But they're really not separate, they are married together, you just want to invoice for one. And
We're-
then have Viking invoice us after.
It all depends on how we want to go about it. So again, we're trying to figure out a way that, again, because it's not your doing that put us in this boat. It's not Allegiance's doing for being put in this boat. It is this third party for one way or another. I'm not pointing blame at them, but my situation is explaining the process so that you guys do understand where we sit and why this is the problem that it is. And how can we kind of get around that, right? So if we try to break this up, the quote that I have here, the lease payment, was to do the whole cost of the truck and the body. So what that does in this situation is it's signed, the full purchase price in this case was
310 and change.
310 and change. So the contract for that lease is for 310 and change. The bank holds that body value of 12,500 and it was in an escrow. So Allegiance doesn't get that money. We're not able to do anything with it. The bank pays us for our side of it and holds that money until the body company is complete. Then that gets paid right to the body company. Once we get the completed unit and we move forward. Now in this case, again, we're invoicing for the full process of the truck because the town is looking to say, hey, we want to keep our trade because we still need to use it. We still need to plow the roads. So in this case, you guys are keeping that trade until the new truck is in, then we just write a check and move on on a separate transaction. So you guys still get your trade value, you guys still get that whole thing.
So the trade value is unchanged, even though the truck we're getting years ago.
Ideally, normally, my bosses would say, well, that truck is now a year older, it's gone through another winter, it's gone through more wear and tear.
Right, that's why I'm asking.
I'm trying to be realistic and reasonable, knowing the situation.
You're basically asking us to pick up this cost so that you don't have to, which I understand. But there's gotta be something in it for us. So what is that? It's either you're honoring that trade-in value to make that work for us, or there's some other way to offset some costs for us, because it's not your fault, it's not our fault.
Agreed.
So there's no reason why we should pay it all either.
I agree, which is why I'm saying that we would be honoring that trade value.
There's another expense if we go another year, and that's the inspection expense. Right,
Yeah.
Didn't we just pay,
Every year, the cost.
we just paid something like, I don't know, 17,000 or something for this
Right.
truck? And I know that was a huge conversation, gonna trade them earlier because it's 17,000, and I'm the guy that's going.
Yeah, it's not getting cheaper to fix these
That's
things.
like 3 months payment for a new truck. But even if they honored the trade and we take out a 1-year lease on the higher amount and pay more interest, we're still gonna be forking out $20,000 next year just to get this $100,000 trade.
So that needs to be worked into the balance of our payments.
And we're talking about money as a whole.
Yeah.
What interest rate is this 1-year lease at?
5.04.
5.04, and
Yeah.
we would only make one lump sum payment, that's APR, right?
Yeah.
So we pay roughly
It's overall interest,
$30,000.
15,000 is what and I can show this to you if you'd like to see this, and that's.
Fair enough.
And why is it for the whole package and not just the truck that's sitting on your lot?
Again, it's depending on how you guys wanted to go about it. So we're selling our invoicing documentation shows the truck and the body. So we were saying, if we're doing this package, this is how it would go. You guys pay us, like I said, it goes to the bank escrows it. If we want to separate it out, there are ways of doing that. I'm just, again, trying to figure out what works best for you and what you guys see fit. I'm open for options. I'm here trying to work together as a partner. Like I said, because we've Allegiance, Clark's Truck Center, like I said, I am a Clark. We've worked with the town of Johnson for many years. You know, we're working with the fire department, you know, on the truck as well. Like there's roots here, and we're not trying to burn this bridge. We're not trying to cause there to be problems. Like I said, unfortunately, the two of us are kind of stuck in the middle of another vendor, unfortunately.
There's another way to skin this cat, and I gotta talk to Rosemary about it. We have enough money in our
Yeah, we could just write a check.
fund.
Yeah.
Oh, not for everything. I don't think we could for everything. We could for the truck.
We could write a check for the truck. Then you could let us deal directly with Viking and get a discount from them.
I would support that heavily if you can.
But I don't even know if I would personally, and it's a board decision with the town, so if there's 3 people that vote against me, my word, it really doesn't matter. I don't know if I'd wanna be on the hook for the inspection. If we're, you know, getting you guys out of $13,000.
If we bought the truck, what kind of a deal would we get if we deal directly with Viking?
None. They quoted us directly when we went through Peterbilt.
But you have an upcharge with Viking.
Nope.
You don't.
No. I take your quote, I take that quote and pass
But
it.
you do own the body shop that does our inspections and does our maintenance.
Correct.
Is there some, as I think Evan's alluding to, like some assistance with their service in lieu of buying the truck? You know, like, can you use the other arms of your industry to help us make this decision faster?
I really, if I even get a discount in the service department, I would say sure. I could charge the same amount of money. If I have a used truck in the yard that I needed to go through for inspection, I'd pay the same amount of labor fee. I'd probably pay more money than you do for parts, honestly. It's not ideal, but that's how it's set up. So I don't know what that would look like if I can. Unfortunately, like I said, I think the hard part is that you guys are getting use of that truck, and I could be, which I'm not here to do this. I've had some other municipalities, some other of the other branches. Allegiance is a big company, right? We've got combined with our sister company of 87 stores across New England and starting to go out the west. So I've heard from some of the stores that they're saying, here's the truck pit, you know, the truck side of it. I need to get your trade now, because in some cases, they just sold the truck and they didn't have the body. And so they're saying, hey, here's the truck, it's in, but part of this deal is I get a trade. And now they're pushing to get the trade, right? Because that's the original deal. I'm not trying to do that because I know you guys need that truck. And it's not your fault to have to use that, you know, that you have to hold on to that unit for an extra year. I think we're unfortunately being pushed into a corner that, you know, out of my control, out of your control, this has gotten to the extent that it's in, you know, I don't know what we can do on that trade. I think the offering to honor the trade value for an additional year, you know, going through a whole other plow season, which we know if anybody's been in a plow truck, I mean, it's not easy going, you know, with those units. So I'm trying to, again, figure out a way that, you know, is understandable.
What solutions do you have? It sounds like you wanna figure out a way that works for both, and all I'm hearing is that the town could pick up the floor plan costs, the town could pay interest in one lump sum. The town, it sounds like we're taking everything except for the guaranteed trade-in. And if that's like a big deal, I mean,
We're getting the guaranteed trade-in.
yeah, well, that's.
He said he's gonna stick to it.
Is that the only
sticking to
thing? That's
Well,
up for
I mean,
grabs?
what are you trying to get at? I guess.
It sounds like you're saying what can work for both of us. We've provided solutions. It sounds like we may have one, but what's Allegiance coming with?
I think part of it, like I said, is we've already spent out $4,000, more than $4,000. And that's just pure cost that goes towards that unit.
What you were expecting to, because we were taking the truck
Just-
around right now anyways.
So we're expecting some expense, yes. But again, it's some expense to have it still be sitting in the yard with no intention of having it moved. So we're saying, at this point, we weren't planning to really take on an additional, in this case, almost $10,000 in addition of floor plan interest. I mean, I don't know how much money you guys think we have in these trucks, but it's not very much. So being that it's in a competitive situation, in this bid situation, so it gets to a point where we're now just losing money to hold on to that unit, which is, again, trying to figure out something.
The $100,000 trade, if you went another year, technically that would be down to about 80,000, wouldn't it?
I mean, it's
Somewhere
for
around there.
content, you know.
Yeah,
We don't
so-
get crazy hours or miles.
It's not the mileage or hours, or it's not it's the hours of what it uses. So a truck, a lot of times, like if you see a dump truck, you know, just hauling pavement, their hours aren't, they could have a lot of miles, they could have 200,000 miles, but their hours are probably in the 4,000, 5,000 range. You could have a town truck that's 6 years old, that's got 40,000 miles on it, but it's got 10,000 hours. And in the case of an hour timeline, that adds up over abuse to the unit. And it's not saying that you guys abuse trucks, it's just use. Hours do amount to quite a bit of usage of the trucks. And it's, like I said, the use of the product, so it's, God forbid, you know, you hit the wing, or you hit something with this, or the wing pops up and hits the cab, or like all those, I mean, we still need to review the truck, you know, at the end, to say that it's still in light condition of what we were expecting. But we're not saying that we're gonna, you know, $80,000, I mean, we could easily come back at that, but we're trying not to do that.
Right, that's what I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to make. What were you saying that you were gonna propose, but the board might not go along with it?
No, I said I'd check the Rosemary on that.
Okay.
So what we're seeing, you know, in the wide range of these conversations, I mean, again, this is not just a problem between Allegiance and Johnson. You know, what we're seeing across the board is all OEMs, ourselves included, are now really only quoting just truck purchases. So when the town of our next door neighbor comes over and says, we want to purchase a truck, we're only providing the truck information with it in writing that the truck is getting paid for when the chassis arrives. We're not waiting for the third party to do it as too, because again, these timelines have gotten further and further. I've also, in having these conversations, requested from the town, whether it's somebody on the board or the road foreman, to also contact the body company, because I might be getting a story just because it's me. Can, you know, the town, the customer, the end user get a different update? You know, can they get a better understanding of what the timeline is? Because again, it's easy to tell me something. Is it easier to tell the customer that? You know, we're trying to figure out, you know, reality of timelines and expectations and things like that.
So you can see in the foreseeable future that people are just gonna buy the truck from you and then make their own arrangements to get everything else taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, we've had many conversations about that. We've had many orders that way. You know, the majority of the orders over the last year, half a year maybe, have been strictly chassis sale only. With the understanding that the customers are expecting, and they do see this, right? They kind of had this conversation, this issue already. They've understood it, they expected it. We had one town, I'll tell you, the town of Richford did the same thing that you were talking about. They ordered the body 2 years ago. They're now just working through the process of trying to buy the truck now, right? So there's different process being, you know, made in place, you know, well prior. There's, you know, new body vendors are being asked. I mean, I was asked probably close to 10 times in the last 2 weeks by customers in your exact situation. Are there other vendors that we can go to out of the state? Because this 2 to 3 year timeline doesn't work
We'll
for us.
talk about that, because trucks are made in Mexico.
Correct.
Why does it have to come to Vermont? Why can't it go straight to a body company in California and then come to?
So in my situation, I mean, if they want to build plow trucks in California, we'll send it to California. To us, it doesn't matter. The only thing that we got to plan for is that we've got to plan to get the truck from California here, right? So we can work with anybody. We've sent trucks all over the country that have bodies put on. I'm not the body salesman, so again, as long as it says international in the front, I'm happy. They're gonna say the same thing, as long as it doesn't, you know, as long as it has this body vendor versus that body vendor, they're happy. So again, there's future conversations that can be had to how to plan for the next unit.
Our truck's not made in Mexico, is it? Is it really?
Escobedos, yeah.
Got a problem with that now?
Yeah,
Couple.
I know the 4 transmissions that came out.
there's a tunnel that goes underneath, so they get past all that, it comes in really easy.
Yeah.
I don't know what we wanna do, I guess we gotta talk to our treasurer.
Peter,
Yeah.
that's right.
Couple of questions.
Peter's, okay, thank you.
First question is,
Mhm.
OEM,
Mhm.
what is it?
Our OEM, or what does OEM stand for?
Yeah,
Original Equipment Manufacturer.
thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
So OEM could be International, it could be Ford, it could be Western Star, it could be anything.
Okay. The other thing, I just want to make sure I understand. Floor plan interest. Floor plan interest.
Mhm.
That is the money you're paying the bank while the truck sits there.
Correct. So that truck, when we get invoiced, like I was saying, we have the opportunity to either pay in cash for that cost of the invoice from International, or we put it on a floor plan with the bank. Like I said, so for the first period of time, all we pay is interest, so that percentage of interest. So the bank floats that, $180,000, whatever that cost is. They float that, we're just paying the interest on it for a period of months. And then it gets to a point where, okay, the truck, it could be 6 months, I'm not 100% sure. So once it hits 6 months old, now it's not just interest, but we now have to pay what they call curtailments, which could be, I don't know what the percentage is, but it could be $20,000 plus that. Because now they're saying, hey, we floated it for just interest for 6 months. Now you start paying down that cost of the floor plan, right? So.
And what you're suggesting we ask Rosemary is if we can cut a check
Financially afford it.
for the cost of the truck.
I don't even know if I was suggesting that, I mean, I'm trying to think of the best thing for the town, this is not.
Well, so we have like what, 300,000 or something, so if we're gonna take 200,000 of that out and pay this now, we would take that $60,000 a year, lease payment or payment, and then put it towards our highway fund. We have to reimburse that fund, and that
That fund is paid for as a line item in the budget.
yeah, and so instead of having like a equipment, we have to do something to make sure we're not shooting ourselves in the foot with future purchases.
Some towns have a little bit, again, the process of payment planning and how you guys do yours, my business, but usually this conversation obviously goes much easier because some towns will say, yeah, once we sign off and give you the PO, that money is separated, right? We have that cash on hand, goes in a separate account, we deal with that quite a bit. So these conversations can be quite easy. Yeah, sure, the money's already there, we can write the check, you're good, we're happy, truck gets delivered to the customer as a chassis, and we move on. Other situations, I think in your situations, being that there is a loan involved or it's called a lease, it makes it a little bit harder because you may or may not have the full funds up front to be able to do that. So that's what kind of caused a little bit of a hiccup in this process, which you guys are not alone on by any means. But
Other options, cancel it, let our fund build on it. Then just order a truck next year. Right?
He doesn't want us to cancel it. I don't think we can legally cancel it.
we do have a signed contract for the truck, yeah,
Right.
And that signed contract has deliverables, right?
as far as.
Got the buyer and delivered X.
I don't believe it says anything on delivery timelines, yeah.
Great, so there's nothing that forces us to pay the floor plan fee.
I think part of it is, like I said, I think the big thing that we're trying to get at is that we're trying to be a partner in this, right? And we're trying to come to you with an understanding of, hey, this isn't something that we want to do. It's not a situation that we want to be in. Here's what we are doing today and how this works for not only our business, but for your business. At the end of the day, what you guys do is kind of a business, running money and dealing with all of that. So we're trying to figure out, hey, being that we're both stuck in this situation, how can we work together on moving this forward so that the next time you don't have the same problem? Right? Whether it's with us or it's another vendor, the town has more understanding of what the process is moving forward. So, no, I mean, there are cancellation fees and all of that. I mean, you know, I don't want you to cancel it. I don't think it's kind of in all reality and in our point of view, it's a negative impact on Allegiance and the relationship that we have. I'm not saying that we're putting out, but there is some burden there for something that we don't feel overly responsible for. Being that this third party that most municipalities, I don't know, I wasn't the salesperson on the sale when it happened, but most municipalities say, here's the body we want to put out to bid, or we want to on all of your bids. So they'll send us and they'll send every other truck manufacturer a bid with one spec of a body, which to us makes it kind of hard because it should just be everybody's lowest price. It shouldn't just be one package gets to stay and here's the truck price instead of, we have to bid that. So a lot of times customers come to us and say, this is the body vendor we want to work with. We're not the body dealer. I have no control over what their schedule is, what their timeline is, what they tell us for a lead time when we get the order versus what the lead time is at the end of the day when the chassis arrives. We're at the mercy of the body company. And if the body company has their own delays for their reasoning or, production delays or whatever, again, now we find ourselves here. So what do we stand to gain to cancel the truck, versus then having to restart this whole process again?
Well, let's say there was a guarantee that it was gonna be delivered complete, and it wasn't. It's not our fault any more than it is yours. But if you made an agreement, then you would have to stick with it no matter what, correct?
I'm not sure. We have to look at the information of what's listed on the agreement.
I know that I've entered into a lot of agreements in my life that I had to fulfill to my detriment, but because I made the deal, I did it. Stuck to it.
I should start a body.
If you can find the people, I would
Just
love for you
start
to.
welding like crazy.
I was talking to somebody a couple hours before I left to come to this meeting. And we were saying, it's crazy. Again, I'm not pointing fingers at any body company. I know how this works. There was a time when body companies had bodies and nobody could get trucks forever. I get it. But it was funny to think, like, for something that's, obviously there's steel and there's welding and there's some hydraulic lines and there's all of these, versus the complexity of a truck and an engine and the transmission and all these different factors and different brands have to come together, the engine, the transmission, and the axles and all this stuff. How is there such a delay on the body side versus when you can get a truck in a couple of months?
Still trying to get a handle on this. If we can pay for the truck, Allegiance comes out from underneath their or interest, whatever that is. Our loss comes with the trade-in. Is that right?
No,
No.
our financial loss at that point would come from the inspection that we have to put this truck through. And they're gonna want a clean truck, and I know he's said he's honoring, but obviously if our wing hits a cab, we're taking that one off the chin.
So
But that's the operator error,
we're
it's
at
not you.
inspection.
Where we would lose out is there, and then the financial risk of the next couple of years, because we're originally planning on paying for that over a 5-year period. On a 1-year period, and our reserve fund dips low in 2030. So the risk is actually kind of 5 years from now, not actually this year.
And I respect that. I mean, I understand, again, there's some concern and there's some burden on you guys.
And originally, it was all set up to write checks for the equipment, is my understanding, but the interest rates came down and it was, taxpayers were asking, why are you carrying $1 million plus?
Mhm.
So you can write $300,000 checks or whatever.
Mhm.
Why don't we see if Rosemary can write a check and we'll buy the truck?
You'll hear from us.
That's fine. Like I said, Tom and I've had these conversations a couple of times, there's a lot of complexity in what we're trying to get across, and there's a lot of information of this is what's happening here, this is what's happening here, and how do we do this, and how do we plan for future and whatnot. And again, it doesn't really do us any good to try to come here and what do we get out of that, right? Again, we're a partner, we have been a partner. We hope to continue that partnership. Unfortunately, we're just the one kind of having to have this conversation today and trying to figure out ways to kind of better handle it in the future so that we don't have to have this types of conversation. And so if we gotta reconvene, it's totally fine.
Fair enough. I think we beat this horse for tonight. And we need some answers from account holders.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
So excited.
It's a necessary evil.
They're very clean all the time. I can tell you that. Okay, next item.
All right, Chelsea.
Cars? Next item is cars. Trying to get to
She
it.
was in the fashion design, this was she went to school.
I already have that.
Okay. The next item
Just a second.
is the staffing study contract.
Anyway, that was quite a few years ago.
Yeah, so then she went.
Has the-
she did a couple of different
Has the
things.
board reviewed
Just made it work for us.
the amended
And then,
Yes.
PLC model?
Yeah.
Staffing contract? I do have a question, and maybe this is a misunderstanding.
I'm talking about this one.
Yep,
Anyway, Chelsea.
I mean, the rest of it's pretty boilerplate, right?
I'll talk about.
Okay.
The question I have is item number 3 under the services provided. Did we really want CEDS and town planner or town planner staffing needs?
So I had initially CEDS town administrator, and then the board had kind of authorized Paul and Mike to touch it up. So the changes were made, this is what was agreed on, and that's what I sent to Carrie.
Where are we? Oh,
Article 1.
Yep.
Number 3.
Article 1, yeah.
Here and down there.
Do you guys have-
At the end. So we're talking about this contract.
No problem.
So yes, I think that was correction I made and what Tom sent out. That I thought reflected.
Did we actually talk about needing a town planner?
We talked about, I specifically said coordination between the CEDS and town planning. How do we get, dovetail that and get that person connected with committees and so forth? It's not a need for a town planner, but it's addressing how you meet those, whether the town planner is the CEDS or somebody else, how do you meet those needs?
My memory is more of Tom's, but if the board makes a motion, my memory doesn't matter.
I think that also came out of the one that was put in the packet for 9.2. Number 3 was community economic development and town administrator staffing needs, and number 4, town planner staffing needs. I think I put it out to the whole board, and then those ideas came back for the last discussion. And then this was kind of reworded, I think, to your point. So just, it's not the first time we've seen that word town planner, I guess is my point, is that it was in the 9.2 version as well.
Nothing we tried to pull over on.
Or you think we
Well,
should put
well-
slash town administrator in there as well?
Sure, I mean, my specific question was just around the monetary side of things and what the best, maybe the hour allocation we have works, but it needs to work differently. Pyramid scheme, maybe the hour allocation we have is too much.
What the hell?
Just needs to look at it. Do CEDS. Calling it a town planner just makes it sound like we're creating another position to me, but I'm overthinking.
I think it kind of came from my comment to her at a meeting too of, that we have a lot of buyout properties and like, we need a staff member who can help us like coordinate what we want those to be and kind of that role, yeah, but
Okay.
not a specific new role.
You guys can just make a motion. I can shut up.
What are we making a motion on, to approve this?
We sent it out, and Brad hasn't signed it.
She's already signed it, right?
Well, okay,
You have a clean copy in here. Somebody's gotta make a motion, we're not gonna.
I'll make the motion. Move to approve and sign the contract for Maple Hollow Consulting for the staffing study.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second? Yeah, further discussion?
Not to exceed $4,000.
Not to exceed $4,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. There are signatures for everybody.
There's 2 signature pages on that. One in the
Adrian.
back, too. The
You
back
go
page.
here and Mike goes here. Peter goes below.
Now that I was just looking at it, it says like town office staffing needs. I think when you have your discussion with her, I'm just gonna interview all of you guys. You can fit,
Sure.
you can fit a lot of those. It's vague enough, you can fit in everything.
Peter, skip a row after Adrian.
Do what?
Skip a row after Adrian.
Okay.
Okay, next item up, financial management policies. Tom, take it away.
So, we don't really have, our financial management policies are antiquated. And I think this is a perfect time to update everything as we're planning for a transition, and that having good policies and procedures in place before a new hire for the role of treasurer would be wise. And so I met with Rosemary, we kind of looked at what some of the options were. We picked out a few policies that we felt we wanted the board to consider. And then Rosemary really wanted to stress the importance of moving these policies forward. So that would give her time to like tweak out the procedures. So that way, if there's issues, you're kind of letting her build up your protection before she goes out. So that way, anything that needs to be tweaked between now and a new hire can be worked out, whether from the board's perspective or from the treasurer's perspective. But she's kind of stepping back into a more of a consultant role.
Okay.
So I guess the generalized question of the board is, do you want Rosemary and Tom to work on the model policies that are recommended?
I think one of the big things from our previous board members was to try to have some of these reserve funds into high interest accounts.
That's right.
That we were losing a lot of money every year because we were getting a pittance for interest. And so if we have some of these funds that we don't have to worry about pulling money out right off, they can be in a 6-month CD.
Yeah, and I think Rosemary has put some into a high interest yielding, and she made more, and I think this is 2 months than she did in the entire previous year, so. But making it not a request, but a policy to say, okay, if you get over 250,000, you have to transfer it into a high interest. You need to get an ICS account or something.
Well, even less than that, actually.
Anyways.
A lot of CDs, I mean, you can have $1,000 CD for crying out loud. A minimum of 1,000 some places, so.
So is the board comfortable with the? You really should like review these before you send them.
I'm laughing, I don't know where, like, I don't know, I can't even understand where that typo came from, but it's great.
Everybody else good with the list?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am not hearing no from anybody. Next item. Select board informational meeting and I guess special town meeting rescheduling.
I'm really sorry, but Mike told me it was available to sign,
I mean, the last
and I.
warning we read into the minutes, so let's pick a date and we'll read it back into the minutes. Even though we already selected a date. We didn't sign it in time.
October 21st.
October 28th, I don't care.
Mr. Chairman, you had a board member that was trying to apologize.
Yeah, that's okay. I apologize. I was unable
No need
to
to
sign.
apologize.
We were wrong, because other people didn't sign it.
There was only 2 board members that signed it.
Did Rosemary email to say? Or,
You all have to sign the same copy.
I know, I wasn't, I asked when it was ready to be signed, to be emailed, but I never get anything.
Well, everybody knew that it was gonna have to be tweaked, so all you had to do is get on the telephone and call. That's what I did. And I checked every day till it was
I
ready.
didn't check every day. I checked a couple days after our meeting.
How about October 28th?
I want to check with the school. Does anybody know roughly when basketball starts? That was a concern to get it done before basketball starts.
Rec coordinator.
Let's,
Works for me.
Turned out well for you, Paul. That's it.
I don't actually know if it works for me, but it's a meeting of the people. It's not a meeting of the select board. So if I'm not available, I trust you guys. We'll handle it.
28th is perfect.
Select board doesn't even have to be present.
But we would be really,
It would be silly if they
we
were.
weren't.
So are we agreeing that we're not gonna have an information meeting separately? We're gonna put the information together and make it available?
Well,
Is that where we ended up?
I'm not sure if my email was clear on that. This is a
We don't have to
town,
be able to get that. But you, do we want to?
what I was proposing was a special select board meeting for the purposes of information to be held there.
At the same time.
But it's not an informational meeting for a bond vote, which is required. I guess that's where it was like weird for me.
So you're saying a special select board meeting?
At Old Lecture Hall for information. All of the information has to be provided at town meeting.
But it'd be nice if we could go before it, so you can think about it, sure.
Yeah, so I was totally good with that. I was just, seemed like there was a lot of pressure about posting, and we are not under a 30-day notice requirement for a special select board meeting. We're under a 30-day notice requirement for posting town meeting.
But the date should go out together. For people to plan.
I mean, for sure, there needs to be an informational campaign, but it's not a bond vote. You know, like the bond vote warning says bond vote X, informational hearing X, they have to be within, is it 48 or 72 hours of each other? Like there's a requirement because it's an Australian ballot item,
What you're
but this
saying
is not Australia.
so when the special town meeting is announced, is according to all the laws of the land, we can also provide an announcement, not legally.
It's not in the warning.
Right,
There's a-
yeah,
Yeah, we can select a date
yes,
and Facebook blast the crap out of it.
right.
But announce a time for a informational gathering.
Yeah,
There we go, I like that.
because people could just go to the town meeting thinking they're gonna get that information.
Yeah.
But we're not providing that, so.
No, we are.
We are. but
We're
we want to provide
providing
you
it
guys time to-
twice.
Well, the only item at that town meeting is gonna be the purchase, right? And then, just like when we pass a budget at regular town meeting, there's a vote, a second, further discussion. All questions can be asked at that time. That's when we should step up and provide some information.
Mhm.
And I don't wanna say recommendation, our information really shouldn't sway the voters, it should just be factual. All of that information will be in the town meeting. The informational meeting in front of it gives people a chance to touch it and see it and ask questions.
Yeah.
But everybody can ask the same questions when they show up to the town meeting.
Right. So we might end up doing some
Reverberating.
deja vu, some repeating of things that have already been said.
I hope we do. I'm expecting
Yeah.
we would.
So we are agreed that we're gonna put information out ahead. We're gonna have some sort of information on the there. Touch the tires. So, virtually a lot of information.
That, yes. And I have no problem selecting that date too.
Okay, let's do
I
that.
was just saying, like, we didn't
Yeah.
need the pressure for the warning to be signed. Tom was kind of saying, like, you guys got 30 days, and if you don't sign it, we're gonna need another date, and we need another date.
If we have the meeting at the Low Lecture Hall,
Which meeting?
Special select board meeting, hopefully, we still
Yeah.
have to verify that.
so if we have the special select board meeting at the Low Lecture Hall there, Town Hall, we're gonna, I don't think there's enough benches there. If we get a big turnout, we're gonna have to have some seating over there.
There's no seating at all, it's like standing room only.
No, there's benches over there.
Are we getting in the weeds a little bit? We could have an informational hearing for 30 minutes over there and come back and have the meeting here, it's a problem.
Oh, that's a good point.
It doesn't have a
That's-
warning.
That's pretty cool, yeah, that's a great idea.
So let's stick with the special town meeting for the moment.
Yes, October 28th,
What time? 6 p.m.?
yeah,
Can I print this now so you guys can all sign?
Yeah,
you have to verify with the school.
At least we'll have it printed and signed.
yeah.
Yeah. And that way we won't have to worry about it.
Have you talked with Rosemary about this?
She thought it was gonna be the 21st.
She is the election official, and I don't,
Why don't I print out one for the 28th and one for the 21st?
There you go.
I'm not signing two of them.
Of course you are.
No, we're going to read one into the minutes, and we'll sign that. Go with the 21st, I don't care.
Do 28th.
So 28th pending availability of the school or Rosemary.
23rd,
No.
Good grief.
28th.
It's getting too
Alright, well, read it first to make sure this is the same as what you're gonna read, because you don't have to read, I said this. I don't actually.
just print it. All you're doing is changing a date. It should be the exact same as the one that Mike and I already signed.
Okay. It's a lot of trouble.
We gotta get that little dig in every now and then, don't we?
It's weird for me that Rosemary is not here.
Yeah.
I'm a little on edge. She is the election official.
Can we do?
All right, well, Tom's gone. How about the informational special select board meeting for the purposes of information?
Can we just make our regular 20th meeting the special information meeting?
Yeah, why not?
We don't have any other ground to cover?
Yes,
Let's
we're
do-
only gonna be over there for about a half an hour, then come over here.
Okay, but at that meeting, we should have the pamphlet to hand out, we should have the tax
Like
and stuff already.
The 20th meeting,
Yeah, the-
Mhm.
we're gonna have Carl's report.
Move it.
You want to stay tidy to that, but the industrial park needs certain things.
Was Hope gonna be a part of,
The
I hope so,
information.
yes. Yeah, we gotta, yep.
I hope so.
Did she give us dates?
Unintended.
did not, I don't think.
Okay. How about, are we with the 28th or 21st?
May.
Okay. 2 days before that.
2 days, that's a weekend.
So,
A week prior.
4 days before that.
Okay, what about the 22nd
We,
on a Wednesday?
we could do the 21st.
No, I have a meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, deal. I'm good with that. You good with that? Oh, 22nd?
22nd,
22nd?
going one,
Special select board meeting?
22nd is, no, I can't make it, you guys can have it. Some jerk appointed me to be the qualified CUD representative.
Oh, you can miss that.
Can we do it on a Friday?
Yeah, we can do it on
You
Friday.
could totally miss that.
Yeah, it's not that important.
What about Friday?
Sign the papers, let's get moving.
No, I'm gonna read them.
Actually, we,
Tom, this isn't even the last one that you sent me.
what's that?
The MOU?
It's the wrong one?
Yes. So, yes, it is.
Look, I cleaned up this thing.
I am going to read this warning and then I'll look for a motion after. Official warning, special town meeting of Town of Johnson. The legal voters of the Town of Johnson are hereby notified and warned to meet for a special town meeting in the multi-purpose room of the Johnson Elementary School, 57 College Hill Road, in said Town of Johnson on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 at 6 p.m. or at 6 o'clock in the evening, 6 p.m. parentheses, to act on the following business from the floor. Article number 1, will the voters authorize the select board to purchase on terms and conditions agreeable to it a plus or minus 0.32 acre property located at 58 Lower Main East Street, currently owned by the Vermont Studio Center, Inc., and referred to as the Joe and Emily Lowe Lecture Hall, for the price of $1 plus village and town taxes in the amount of $7,090.78 for the tax year 25, plus estimated closing costs of $3,000. This is not the article that I signed,
I don't have a copy of the one that you signed.
because this, now, the one that Rosemary had for us, after what I just read, said, period, or I guess question mark, this article is advisory and non-binding. So there's a sentence that said that. What this in front of me has is parentheses, no, the vote on Article 1 is advisory and non-binding. The select board's intent is to follow the will of the voters, but believes it's prudent to reserve the right to make final determination to protect the town's interest in the event of unforeseen circumstances and or new information becomes available. Who wrote that?
I did.
So all I can
Based on
tell
the
you
last
is
meeting.
this is the only version I have. I did not receive the version that you guys signed.
And I sent that to everybody and Mike chimed in and said that's,
I could have sworn I signed that one.
No, the one you signed just had one sentence here.
Sounds like we're right away for Rosemary.
Yeah, but we can make the dates.
Article 2, to do any other business that may legally come before said meeting, legal voters Town of Johnson are further notified that voter qualification registration relative to the special select board meeting shall be provided in chapter 43, 51, and 55 of Title 17 Vermont statute. Annotated.
Well, Paul's revision went to the whole board.
It did, but that's not how Rosemary put it in.
Do you have a copy?
Well, it doesn't make any difference. This is the one that's
I guess,
before the board now, and we need to
I
sign
guess
it.
it's still shown under Article 1.
Tom can just write the advisory part now, if we want that in there.
It's in there.
Oh, it is? I thought you said it wasn't.
Well, it's not as Rosemary had it.
Oh, it's a different spot.
But it's still in there.
Does anybody want to make a motion on what I just read?
Yes, so move.
Is there a second?
second.
Rosemary has to attest to the assignments anyways, but
So unless Rosemary's got some concern, like she got some legal advice that the wording wasn't good, maybe.
Rosemary's in on Wednesday. Can you guys all commit to coming in for Friday? That's the other thing we could solve. Like, we have issues.
28th, we got 2 Fridays.
Oh, but like, you don't have to read the motion. You read the, the warning is posted, like the motion is not legal. I guess it's sort of legal, but
I guess we always.
it's the notice that matters. And so whatever you put out is your legal notice. As long as that wording you agree to between now and Friday, if you guys can all come in and sign whatever Rosemary wants, you're good to go.
If somebody's here before 7 or after 5:30, I can be here.
I can drive it to your house one night.
Yeah.
I get it delivered to my house.
Well, what's the sense of driving over to his house? She has to attest after all the signatures are on. We can sign it right now.
Good point.
It's the big deal.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right.
All those opposed? And the ayes have it. Guess I'm on video right
Rosemary attests to it after all signature.
She doesn't have to see it.
now. Okay,
So,
She just has
so.
to attest it.
Friday for the special select
minutes.
board.
Right in the minutes. And we're on
Good with
video.
that? Always good with that?
You're okay with Friday?
Yeah, we'll figure it out, yeah.
For the 24th for the special meeting,
You were good with that Friday? I had the CUD meeting on Wednesday.
Sunday.
Friday, 24th?
yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
So Tom would circulate something and get.
what about a planning meeting now?
Oh, yeah, that's another important one. We actually need to dedicate our own select board meeting to get a pamphlet of information together.
About next week?
I'm open.
Okay, what about 23rd?
Deal.
So is this delegation of tasks or is this finalizing what we have so far?
We're doing September
This is just, like-
23rd for planning the special information meeting.
It's like
and the
trying
meeting.
to get all the information we have in one spot and figure out what
A
we're
working
missing
session.
and how to
Yeah,
organize it.
so say
I
we
can't
have.
do the 23rd.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the PC board meeting.
Okay,
You're getting sucked right
What
into
is-
this select
That's
board
your
thing.
fault.
what days can you do next week?
The question is, do I need all the information for that meeting?
Yes,
We're going to
So
that.
as much as you can.
Do we have enough time? Because I'm still waiting
Oh,
for
when-
some quotes, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can't do Tuesday or Wednesday, although I can make Monday or Thursday or Friday.
When will we have that done by?
I have foundation, I have electrical, I am waiting on like the upstairs drywall, and then I need a structural for the upstairs as well.
Okay, when will we have that done by?
I mean, this isn't on my timeline. You know?
When is it last scheduled for? I
So
don't
I
know.
guess the question I would ask you is, how long do you think it takes, once we have that information? Like, how long will it take the board to put it all together in a working meeting? Like, you're thinking like, we could probably put all the information in a packet in a matter of an hour if we're all typing at the same time, right?
We're all typing at the same time, it's gonna be real confusing.
But I guess, you know, we have till October 24th, and we're rushing this info meeting to get all this information, and so,
Well, I think we need to get a meeting so that we decide what information is gonna be in there. If it's gonna be a pamphlet, Adrian can lay it out. The final numbers can go
Well,
in
that's-
at the last minute.
that's exactly what I wanna know, is like, we need the information for September 23rd, or whenever the date is, it's gonna be tight, but if we're just like going in and then delegating, you get that by this date, you get this by this date, and then we'll lay it out by this date, that's like a planning meeting, I think that date's fine, but to have all the finalized information is,
Yeah, we should, obviously, we should have whatever we can, but if someone missing, I think we can fill in the holes for sure.
Also, if we want to print a pamphlet or whatever it is, we need time to send it off to a printer and that kind of thing too.
They'll print it.
I agree, if you're gonna go with this, just have an information sheet, you don't have to have
Yeah, they'll probably.
fancy glossy
I like them.
trifold pamphlet for crying out loud.
Well, we can definitely discuss that, let's meet next week. If there's hesitancy to
What
meet
about
next week.
hazmat? Do we have any push on that?
not yet, no.
Have we asked Studio Center?
Yeah, let me check, I have a meeting, on my calendar.
Then we can get Charles Fromm involved.
So, yes, we have asked, or no, we have not.
Not sure. We don't have it. I don't know if we've asked.
Oh, I was supposed to meet this Wednesday, but I just got it's on my calendar, it says it was canceled, so I'll reach out to,
So it hasn't been asked, but there's a plan to ask it.
yeah.
So our planning meeting is when?
The following week, I guess.
Which week, the 29th? I won't be here.
Oh, that's right, you're out until like October.
Yeah, I'm going from the 30th to the 10th.
Yeah.
I could meet on the 29th, I think. Yeah, my flight's not the next day. I can meet on the 29th. Is that enough time?
Monday the 29th
Mhm.
for info, for planning.
Have we already meeting them?
No.
That would be plenty of time for me to get final information.
Okay, Monday
Okay.
the 29th.
I can do that.
Can you get those drafts to us tomorrow so we can,
The agendas,
yeah,
that's for the 24th and the 29th.
24th of October, 29th of September, yeah.
Okay. Oh, and 6 o'clock or 6 or 6:30 for,
I would do 6.
Okay, 6 o'clock for the 29th and 6 o'clock for the, or what time for the information meeting?
6 is good.
Six on the 29th.
A planning.
It's just us planning in public what
I thought that was the 24th.
the 24th is like,
It's an informational meeting for the public.
I thought that was,
24th of October is an informational meeting for the, it's a special select board meeting for the purposes of information for the public. 29th of September is a special select board meeting for organizing our materials and figuring out what we're missing. Having just a dedicated little lecture hall conversation.
somewhere there, I guess I got lost with all the.
That's 2.
Can't imagine how.
6 PM for all of us. All right, up next.
Oh, wait, while we're on the topic of dates, what time is the meeting tomorrow at the college?
So there's a, like, kind of symposium type.
This one.
Like a discussion of, that was that email I sent out. And then at 6 PM is the formal hearing.
Okay.
The public hearing.
Okay.
We'll have a meeting on Wednesday as well.
So that email you sent out, it just said 10 AM, didn't say until 6 PM.
So 6 PM is the, that has already been, so that, two different things. One is the public hearing for the community development block grant, which is a requirement of the grant application. And so that's to get information about the application and just ask questions to public. 10 AM is not open to the public, but a invitation of community partners and leaders to kind of, it's like a discussion of what's happening, what's to come, like a think tank or
Are
symposium.
you going to that?
And
Okay. Is any other board members?
I-
going to that? Yeah,
I'm gonna go to the 6 o'clock.
I'll try to go. I'm not sure yet.
So the future ones,
Yeah.
can we suggest it not be during business hours? I mean, we go to work.
what's that?
The 10 o'clock meeting is not open to the public. It's specifically for partners, which is us.
It's,
Is that correct?
yeah, but there's like a lot of people going. Like, it's like, we're just like one small part of that.
We'll do this during work meetings, yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
What's that?
Can we move on to the next one, personnel policy? I'd rather talk about this with Rosemary here, but
Why don't we?
take it away, Tom, or table it.
Table it. No Rosemary.
We can deal with one of them.
Work week change is pretty straightforward. Rosemary asked me to ask you this. Currently, it's Thursday to Wednesday, so people turn in their timesheets on Wednesday before the workday is done, and they have to be filed with the bank before 12 o'clock the following day for direct deposit. And there have been some close calls due to internet being out or staffing shortages. And she would like to change it to Monday to Sunday, and that way timesheets would be turned in on Monday and be paid the following Friday, so it wouldn't affect any pay dates for anybody. It would just allow more time for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to process that payroll, to prevent any future hiccups. I also really like that because the penal reporting, that is Monday and Sunday too, so then our timesheet matches the FEMA reporting. Because that did take some time to take our split week and then convert it to a week to week. The motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we change the work week from Thursday to Wednesday. Second,
You said Thursday to Wednesday?
Thursday to Wednesday.
That's what it said there. That's how you just said.
Yeah, that's not what Tom
Monday to Sunday.
said.
I think it's in.
Oh, yeah, she's recommending Monday to Sunday.
Yeah.
Mike, we gotta withdraw.
Oh, okay,
No, there was
Okay.
no second.
I second.
okay.
Did you?
I know,
You would-
but I
I didn't-
thought about seconding.
Okay, I'm gonna read what she says. recommend Monday through Sunday time cards being due on Monday and paid out on the following Friday. This would allow a true time card and more time for the deposit.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second,
Further
I was still
discussion?
thinking about it.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? You guys have it?
Matching town holidays, there's an email that explains the difference, it's a loose piece of paper. Figures up today, it has yellow highlighter on it. There are holidays that the village has that are not the same as the towns, which does create some challenging situations when you have one entity off with the other entity working. And I understand the history of this, but the staff has asked that I bring it up to you again, that we're gonna have, no, we don't have shared employees, we have services, but essentially we have shared employees. The reality is we have shared employees, and it makes for an awkward half day or whatever.
Well, number one, we need to get rid of shared employees, and that's a topic for another day. But in the meantime, we need to leave things the way they are.
I think it'd be better if we made our holidays match just for fairness. I'll make a motion that we match our town holidays to the village holidays for town employees and shared employees.
That's just the office though.
It can only be for the office, not whatever union.
Oh,
That's right.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Peter, second. Further discussion? I really agree with Mike here. We are extremely generous with our CTO. And one thing that didn't really get mentioned, and the motion was to match the holidays. The village also clawed back floating holidays out of CTO. So are we clawing back that time?
Yeah.
Out of combined time off? There are no longer floating holidays? Or are we just adding more holidays? Because there's a financial impact
They
to the
clawed
motion
back
as
to,
is.
well, I don't know if it's a financial.
They clawed back 2 and they added 3. I don't know why 5 are highlighted here.
Well, I had somebody who called me today who was self-employed, and they bent my ear about all the holidays everybody gets off, federal and state, municipal, and everything else. And like Evan said, you add all of these extra days that our employees get, and they get plenty of time off when they need it. And to add more 2 days, and I agree with Evan, if we're gonna add 2 days, then we need to pull back those other ones.
Voting holidays are like a liability in my mind, and it's like, when they're labeled as holidays, and there's an expectation of who's there, who's not. Like, I always, so that makes sense to pull those back to then give expected days.
I talked to municipal workers today and they said they don't want floating holidays. They just want the same holidays that village has.
So,
I would just like to say, I mean, I'll call the vote. I think there was a first, second, and third here. I think Mike and I are in the minority. Can you amend your motion to claw back some CTO, or are we just adding holidays? Right now, the motion is to match the village holidays.
I would support an amendment to that effect. I think it makes sense if we're trying to match what the village is doing, then we match what the village is doing. That's
And a higher level conversation with this is, you know, the town and village have a joint personnel policy. That the village union contract had extra holidays, so the village employee went to the village board and basically said it's not fair that the union guys get more holidays than I do. So the village gave more holidays, but they never amended the joint personnel policy. We're still following the joint personnel policy. All of that to say, like, just making motions like this is very, in my opinion, difficult for future board members, right? I'm sitting here talking about old crap, and we're just gonna make a motion. Why don't we amend the policy and make it very clear to the next board, here's the policy, instead of, you know, when we're all gone, and Tom goes, oh yeah, they did it in a meeting, there's a motion somewhere. And, you know, if I was a new board member, I'd say, provide me with that.
I agree with you. I think the pressure from the village staff or the town staff is that October has Indigenous Peoples' Day, which is right around the corner, which is one of those, you know, so I think that's why they're like, well, we have 3 coming up. Can we either do it or not do it? And my third item, which is combined versus separate, I agree with you 100%. I think the combined policy made a lot of sense when you had a combined manager and administrator. But now it's getting harder and harder to find that common ground. And I think having a separate policy with separate employees is a lot cleaner. And I think it's also, I think the personnel policy is antiquated and not up to current standards. And would you allow myself and maybe a board member or two to just draft a new personnel policy before October 6th? And then we can solve the problem before Indigenous Peoples' Day. You know, I think, and then it just ends it. You know, we were talking about some issues with CTO time versus vacation versus sick and like how to make it cleaner. I don't like CTO time because I think it leaves an outstanding liability when people leave. I'd rather pay out annually. But just, you know, it's just an opinion. That's not one way or the other. But what was interesting is having this conversation with a town employee and then a village employee cuts in and says, you can't touch that. That's part of our contract. It's like, well, you know, like, we're always like in this like interesting gray area, and that causes more confusion. And you just, you know, you even just brought up the confusion that we have this joint policy. When we had a manager and an administrator as the same person, there was this keystone to collaboration. We no longer have that keystone, and so I think we need to start thinking about how to take care of town employees so that town employees know exactly what to expect.
We need a separate policy.
That's the next subject. We're still under like further discussion.
I would like to rectify this unfairness now and in a subsequent personnel policy.
So we're just. Are you gonna amend your motion, or are we just giving them more holidays? The
What's the
motioner
right-
and seconder would have to amend it, or we're just giving more holidays and will be more than the village and the village employees.
That-
Well, the village
yeah,
board said
that's not-
town did more for us,
That's not
and then we
the
missed a
goal.
misunderstanding, we'll be 11 months.
What do we have to,
I think this motion is actually okay because it's to match the village. So by,
Holidays, yes, that's the motion, right, Donna?
Yeah, it didn't mention.
All right, we're not calling back CTO, that's fine. I can call it, if we're not gonna amend
the
it,
floating holiday is a holiday, it's not CTO.
but it's built directly into the CTO thing, or.
So this is hard when you bring up information that's not presented, so the CTO, if the village called it back, is new information, so it makes it kind of an awkward conversation.
Well, I mean, yeah,
It's in the
there's no
policy,
information.
and
But it said it, but I didn't know.
Right?
If we pull up it's in the packet, you know, the town and village personnel policy. If we find,
There is another amendment that the village made for the village employees, the joint personnel policy, and it was about harassment or something. And in a joint meeting, we decided as the town to just leave it as it was. So I don't know if that'll
I
matter.
read all this stuff. The deal they have right now. This is unbelievable, right? I don't think many companies have such a level of policy to do.
It's because you work in the private sector.
So
So there's utilizing combined time off. I mean, if it's right in here, Tom, can you just tell us what page it's on?
that's what I'm looking
Is it 17? that we're looking at?
Tom wanted to point us somewhere, so I'm just waiting for.
for. I had the list of holidays in here, I can't find it. the holiday times. So it's on page 20. I thought it was before CPI. Yeah. So. There's New Year's, President's, Town Meeting, Memorial, Independence, Labor, Veterans, Thanksgiving, Christmas. There shall also be 2 floating holidays which are included in the CTO time allocations above.
I don't understand what that means.
I don't either, but
2 more days.
Yeah. Get rid of the floating holidays.
So this has 9, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So the village follows this. They made the amendment that I was sent, that was separate to adding in 2 holidays. Are they not following the same thing we're following? I just want them to match. At the end of the day, I want them to match.
There was never an amendment to the joint personnel policy,
I was sent
just
one.
a motion. Does it say village personnel policy? I mean, there were
It
amendments
says
to this.
amendment to town and village of Johnson combined personnel policy for rules. The following holidays are observed: New Year's, MLK Day, President's Day, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day, Indigenous Peoples' Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, the adjacent following day, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day.
That was Eric Bailey.
This is from 2022.
Yeah, it was in one of their meetings.
Okay, well, it says town at the top too.
I mean, I think your point is right?
Where's my signature?
No, no one's arguing that the town didn't agree to it, but I think the problem in front is making it match, and I think, so right now, these holidays for the village don't include 2 floating holidays, right? So I think everyone can agree that can go away. But I do think the one day, we have town meeting day in, and they do not. Is that correct?
Yeah,
So, and I think most town employees, we just expect the office to work, because they have to be there for the election anyways.
right.
So I think we just,
They usually float that somewhere else in the week.
well, that gets rid of the floating holiday, and I think, and if Rosemary wants to do that with her employees, she can, but if we get rid of town meeting day, so they have to work it, and then we make it match, then that gets rid of 3 holidays for us, 2 floating in town meeting, and then that
That's
makes,
5, which is the 16 hours. Right, the 2 days.
yeah, would that be okay? Because that would solve the problem of the inconsistencies, but it doesn't cost the town anymore.
I'm gonna need to call the vote here, because I'm not gonna agree to just 16 hours more for the office without thinking about the highway guys, because this is just gonna be a rolling conversation here.
Well, the highway
So,
guys have.
They have a union contract, and you and I both know that that is due for renewal December or January 1. And they're gonna complain about this. I'm sorry, that wasn't a demeaning way. They will ask questions because they're not being treated like the rest of the town staff. This is going to roll into more conversations.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna call it, and I'm gonna be opposed to it.
So what we're calling is a suggestion to remove 3 holidays, town meeting day and 2 floating holidays. And add 5 that are listed here.
Which are,
Paid, Juneteenth, Indigenous people, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Those are the ones that are 500.
Isn't town meeting a floating holiday?
no, we actually give it as a holiday.
Okay,
But everyone ends up working.
We're taking it away. And this is for all, this is for non-union contract employees.
the mic's on.
Correct, Paul? Is that everybody's understanding? I'll call
Now, the deal is they get Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The day before Christmas plus Christmas.
This says Thanksgiving Day.
What a
and the
deal.
adjacent following
it. So
day.
it's Thanksgiving plus
Christmas Eve.
Friday.
Christmas Day.
Yeah. And when this rolls into the highway, I want you all to know that they get paid triple time when they come in on a holiday. You guys are making financial decisions for a future board that will cost money.
It's holidays. They have to have holidays on it.
And I think we're already very
No, they get double time on holiday.
double time plus the time to work. Wait, it's good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. How did you vote?
So clarify.
Present?
So if you voted president, it failed.
Clarify what, Paul?
So just clarifying what you're saying on the highway. So we're limiting this to 9 employees.
The highway staff, like the highway operators are. Jason is a contract employee, but not union.
You're not voting on for the highway.
We would be for
Well, that's what I'm
Jason,
trying to
just not,
clarify. So
just not
that's what
for-
I'm clarifying.
Depends on his contract, but I think his contract says that it's not really fair.
So there was no amendment to this, and so you're actually voted on giving them more time off, correct?
No, there wasn't an amendment.
You amended it.
Okay, I'm confused about this. This is something I was gonna ask about, you know, Paul made a statement of what he thought the motion was. And it wasn't clear to me if that was something that Adrian and Peter agreed on. But now you're saying it was actually an amendment. I didn't hear any.
I didn't hear an actual amendment.
Me neither.
I thought Adrian clarified what the motion was, which was match the village holidays, and she read what was there.
I thought we said removing the 2 for, I just wanted to match.
Okay,
I just
and
wanted to match.
did you agree with Paul's summary of what he thought you guys were voting on?
We're taking away town meeting day and 2 floating holidays and adding 5
Yeah.
assigned
Yeah.
holidays.
Yeah.
For the office staff.
What did you need for clarity? 'Cause we got 2 yeas and 2 nays.
Okay, I'm a yay.
You're a yay. So the motion passed on.
Match.
Man, I'm coming over here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yay.
Do we wanna combine the
We need separate
personnel
policies,
policy?
separated.
You're a separate one, Mike. Adrian,
Wait, what? Sorry.
combined or separate personnel policies? Moving forward.
I want to table it until we know if we're like moving municipal buildings, if what's happening at grocery. I just want to table it.
Can I draft a draft joint policy? There's just some things in our policy that are kind of old.
Sure.
You know, like, I think it's just time to think about revisiting it regardless if it's joint or not.
Yeah.
There was like, on the priority list, it was like a list of all policies and recommendations.
I mean, I think we're kind of tagging, we're like, you know, these financial policies are probably gonna be done October 6th. And then I think as soon as those are done, let's start doing, if you're okay with it, like, let's like jump it right into this one and update them. You know, they're all technical.
Yeah, I just don't want a bunch of time and energy put into it, and kind of like change.
It's a model policy.
We can look into separating.
You would like to look into separating, Adrian would like an updated one, Peter and Paul would like
Separate.
looks like we're looking at a separate.
And I don't think it's gonna affect anything, if the holidays are the same, then the separate policies won't really matter. Because then you can still show services, because you're both gonna be in the building at the same time. I think as long as your hours of operation are the same, the rest of it.
Okay,
We're so different, we need to find as many things as we can to separate from the village.
all right, next up. Road reclassification. I'd rather table this till next summer.
Me too.
How's the rest of the board feel? I mean,
Oh, it was easy.
I mean, these ones, you don't actually have to walk, because there's no road there. These 2 highways specifically, we tried to start this process in 2024, and these are the 2 that we originally thought of this year, and then somehow we ended up on the other 3.
Well, because the other 3, we could do all in one site visit.
I'll lean towards Paul, Adrian, and Peter's thoughts. I'm going to wait until next summer. Perfect.
So my question, I guess, is we're talking about new roads, we haven't done anything with the roads we've already visited.
What are we gonna do with the roads we visited?
Sorry, reclassify.
You make a motion.
Reclassified.
That's a done deal.
Don't they take 30 days?
Yeah, that's what we're slow.
There's an appeal period, and then in January, we'll have a certification of highways and it'll be identified there.
I'm not in any hurry to jump more. I think we need to do, but I'm not in any rush.
I like it. Dead end road maintenance, Tom.
So this is, we had drafted a letter, I think that went around. Turns out, the board did not refuse maintenance, but there are other options, and I would like for you, I don't know, did you guys get a chance to read this letter? It was in an email.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
very disappointing.
Reclassify.
We can either reclassify them, which is gonna, it sounds like there's going to be some challenging, right? It could be expensive, challenges. The other thing we could do is I could send a polite letter reminding people, if you're willing to let me, draft a polite letter reminding people of the right of way. And if, then what we can do is then send like a nasty gram to say, okay, we're gonna tow you if you're in there, and then we just use that, we just tow and then plow the next day. That way we're not refusing maintenance, but we are protecting that right of way for maintenance.
How many properties does this involve?
A lot.
There's a lot of, every dead end road, the house at the end could potentially be of concern,
So like 13 or something.
yeah. But, I mean, I think the list is,
There's quite a few around where you live.
there was a draft list that was.
Hard to believe too.
My driveway isn't a plow,
Hard to believe
Oh, it
some of
does.
these- some of these driveways are town roads, it's
Well,
crazy.
they're class 3 highways.
Yeah. The harder ones that are really challenging, thinking about McEwen and Crabtree, might be worth working with that type of tightness, working with the road foreman based on, what our attorneys did, to maybe draft out a quick, within the right of way, a turnaround, and say, and like, work with the landowner to say, okay, here's the right of way, you can park here, but don't park here or here. At the end of Fox Lot, Jason and I went up there, and it's been fabulous since. It's just having those face-to-face conversations. A lot of it might not be known, and I think taking the time to meet with people, come up with an agreement that works for everybody, so everyone gets plowed.
I just don't understand how some of these driveways became class 3 roads in the first place. I really don't.
I heard, once you're a selectman, you get a driveway, so I think there's gonna be a new one off of Route 15, new road, right up to,
I
Town Drive.
I think there was some advantages taken back then. Some of them were dairy farms. Just, lots, they could pick milk up. Well, they're no longer active dairy farms, but
It's too bad that wasn't.
Just want to ask for a school street extension.
That's right.
I guess, yeah, if you can communicate with the people or Jason can and make things safer for our equipment and our employees, let's do that. And then the next select board can take up reclassification.
Which will never happen in some of these.
We all good with that?
It's too,
I don't know about the reclassification part, but I'm good with,
They're a large financial liability. Honestly. But you can do whatever you want. Right.
Top first, toe left, toe second.
Yeah, one option that I wanted to talk to the attorney about, and this is in the future, if you wanted to reclassify, was what if you put it up to the town, like town meeting? And because the biggest contest is public good. You have to prove public good in reclassifying up or down, right? But what if the whole town agrees that this is public good to classify down to a class 4? Well, then you're kind of off the hook, and that was a strategy that was never suggested, but just make it an article in town meeting.
well, yes, and that might turn out a lot of people when they realize how many people are getting a free plow job on one single family home.
It also kind of alleviates the pressure of the select board making the decision, and whatever the public says, okay, who cares then at that point, right?
Yeah.
We have a town meeting coming up.
I don't wanna waste more attorney's dollars on it myself. I mean, we got, it's great to have our attorney's thoughts, but was it Megan that sent us that letter the day after we talked about this?
Melissa.
Melissa. As soon as VLCT kind of spelled it out and said you can't do that, I wouldn't even.
But the deal is, it's not only plowing, it's maintaining these roads too, that we have to do.
Right, but if somebody brought it up to a class 3 standard and the select board accepted it, you can't now say, yeah, we were just kidding.
Well, you can.
They put the money in to bring it up to class 3
Yeah,
standard.
but they brought it up to class 3 and it was to their advantage too. By having a good road.
Right, but that's why they put the money in front, so that when the
Yeah.
select board was around at the time, said, okay to it.
Well, I hope that you're thinking about public good, not private driveways.
The Constitution in the state of Vermont is about public good, you know. If you read it. So. We are looking for that, actually, that might work.
It's an interesting way to alleviate some of the legal, the risk is in your cost of your attorneys to argue the appeals to any decision, right? And then you're gonna head to like environmental court, Vermont Supreme Court to deal with those things. But if it goes before the voters, it's really hard to argue public good when the people have spoken.
I think we can budget for some attorney's fees for you guys next year. Deal? Municipal building security,
Fix it.
it's broke, fix it.
Go with the recommendation.
Is this considered an improvement?
Huh?
Is this considered an improvement?
Not answering that question.
Oh,
The trustees agreed to let us make decisions on maintenance.
Oh,
Well, they agreed to pay half of maintenance. We could do improvements on our own time.
mhm.
Take the floor.
So I asked for this to be put on the agenda. I think we just need like a basic camera system for security reasons. I think there's been like an uptick in political violence and I want to protect our workers and protect us. And if anything were to happen, like any kind of violence here, I would like there to be cameras to be able to capture it. And to hold those people accountable. And I've reached out to, what was the place you said to reach out to? I reached out to.
Vermont Superior or Seacoast.
Yeah, I reached out to Seacoast and if the board's okay with it, I'd like to have them come out and give us a quote on what a full like camera security system would be, how much it would cost. And then whatever, I can like look, if that's like crazy expensive or whatever that number is, I can also research just what it would cost for us to install our own cameras and have some kind of drive system for it to back up to on our own dime. So I can look into both options if the board's okay with me doing that.
I am.
Another caveat is our current system is from 1999 and can no longer get parts for it. Local Electric is the only person who will do any maintenance on it. They actually have to take their card, I don't really know what that means, from other people who've upgraded just to work on ours. So at some point, we need to budget a new security and fire alarm system. And whether that's, if not installing soon, we should probably, we need to start thinking about that as a whole anyways. And whether we go to video or just motion, I think is the question, right?
Well, I think we ought to go one step further, and I think we ought to kind of armor our building like the Vermont Electric Cooperative has done theirs. Really,
The one-way glass so you can't.
not one-way glass, but I think it should be like that tempered glass instead of the plexiglass. I think they should be a stronger door because that could be easily pushed in. And I think it should be armored up a little bit. You know, really, I agree. There's crazy people and they're getting crazier all the time, you know, when you have a young woman from Ukraine can't even ride on public transportation without getting her throat cut, and a man can't speak his mind, without getting shot, so I think that, I agree with you, I think we had to armor this place up a little bit.
So, do you wanna add your thoughts, and then I'll,
I guess my question is, are you talking about extra for cameras external? Are we talking about violence which would occur in the office downstairs, having cameras on?
I think a
People
few
are working?
inside and a few outside, I think both, yeah. I could get
Where
close,
that's a borderline sort of invasion of privacy kind of thing.
oh, it's not gonna work for the public.
Yeah, I know, but still. it's-
I can get a quote for both.
Well, what did you have in mind, both?
There's cameras everywhere, I mean, good grief. If it wasn't for cameras,
What do you have in
my
mind,
guys
both?
wouldn't get caught.
External and internal?
I was thinking external and internal, but I can get a quote for just outside
So,
and both.
all for security. I think we're talking about decent amount of improvements, and we should talk to the trustees. Or have Tom talk with Eric, talk with the trustees,
Mhm.
and we should get budgetary numbers and budget for it next year. We are hitting that, close to that time frame.
Mhm.
And if we can afford it, I guess we do it. The video thing, I remember this was a conversation 4 years ago. And the videos at that time were considered public record, so you had to hold them indefinitely. So
Yeah,
we would need a large amount of storage.
okay. I wasn't able to find, I know you mentioned that, but I wasn't able to find any.
And I mean, it was when Brian's story was here, we talked about maybe having a digital media policy.
Mhm.
Where they were retained for 3 years and then destroyed, or it put a time limit on it.
Current laws that you have to retain videos for meetings only a year. So I think that.
And open meeting law has changed since 2021 too,
Yeah.
so, as long as we're following the rules, if it's a year retention,
I'm sure the security team that we work with, this security team I reached out to, they work with, Morrisville. So I'm sure they would just do whatever they do for Morrisville as well, so. But storing the footage.
You know, record retention is a good question to ask them as part of the fact that.
Mhm.
and also, because Mike sits to my left, if you come back with only one quote, he's still not gonna support it.
Okay.
Sat on your right, would I be okay with it?
Well, are we okay with me looking in the quotes and then we go to the village about it? Or it's be planned out next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tom should talk with Eric and just say that the select board has some concerns about security and we'd like to make some improvements. You guys wanna get on board here and we're thinking about budgeting for next year. There's no issue with communicating that we have issues with the security.
Eric is gone for 3 weeks. But
Email.
no community.
It's scheduled an email for 3 weeks.
That'll work. Okay, old business, anything in old business? Oh, yes, Tom. Town sewer service area.
So Carl.
No, Paul, sorry.
Oh,
Carl is very like driven on like directives. And I think if we need to start moving forward on that for the same reason with everything. It's for the industrial park, so, like, that's gonna have to happen. So as soon as we can get that done, if Carl has time to do it, we can do it. If there's a hiccup there, because part of the industrial park is not in the village. So we have to extend or create a new town sewer service area. And I think the faster we do that, the better, just like one less hang up down the road. But it would take a directive with you guys, to Carl to work on.
yeah, do it.
Carl is an interim employee here to keep the ship floating. And I know,
If he doesn't mind doing it, he's probably certainly enjoys $60 an hour.
Didn't he say he doesn't like traveling? There was something
yeah,
about travel.
he literally told us if it's gonna be a longer tenure, that we're gonna need to come back and talk.
Carl and I have weekly checkups, so he's planning on taking every other week off, so he'll work a lot of hours one week, and then be in Pennsylvania for a week with his family, second home. while he's there, he will have his computers. Next week, he has an industrial park meeting. And that, we've actually just talked about this today, that if there's ever something that you can't be at, I agreed to go for him and take notes to then pass to him. But it's, like, I think he's really efficient. I think we've all seen that. I think if there's a way, if he's willing, if you guys are willing to work in this every other week scenario, he's still checking emails, and he's still doing meetings via Zoom, but it's just not putting that long, putting in longer hours. This is a week here, and it's gonna be here more than 20 hours.
This has already been started, right? Because Duncan did work with us at PC on it.
Well, I was gonna ask you if you had talked with Alec Jones, because he was gonna draft on that.
Yeah, Duncan and Alec were working on it. I got failed out. because they were dead.
I knew Duncan and Alec were like I thought they may have copied you on like. It was like started.
Yeah, but I can.
And the other one, while we're talking about the town sewer service area, the other one that was talked about in conjunction was the property off St. Clair Road. I could check the motions, but
It was up on C. Extending it.
it's already up 100C, isn't it? It was just,
It goes to 100 feet away. Yeah. We'll have to get the map.
it look up minutes. Are you cool with talking to Alec about it?
Yeah.
If it's already 90% there, I don't know if we need to pass it on the.
I'm happy to talk to Duncan and Alec, see whatever that left.
Okay. Anything else, old business? Hearing nothing? Yes, no? Yes, no, Peter?
I was supposed to do that.
Well, hang on, I have multiple additions before the executive session. One was me, and that was paving. We talked about the cost for paving. And I didn't think of it at the time, and it may be too late. But Jason's initial request was to do a paving capital project and a paving maintenance project. The paving maintenance he's talking about was Railroad Street. And I did drive down there in that section. I think he's talking about is pretty rough. But I don't know if our no is to just maintenance and capital project or just capital project. It wasn't communicated to him that we should still do the maintenance. I'm looking for board's thoughts here. That's a different line item in our budget.
Railroad Street needs to be really taken care of, not just another coat on top.
It's just from the last manhole to the bridge. There's no under earthly things from my understanding. In that section, obviously there must be a sewer line that goes through there. That's because I think the main is rough.
I wish somewhere along the line, the bullet could be bit on ripping up all that concrete and taking care of the catch basins, everything else down through there. It's been a problem for many, many years.
So the scoping study for the connectivity from rail trail to downtown, one of the complaints that came up with the meeting was that all the street drains are 6 to 12 inches below the street surface.
They're
So
round.
they're riding your life along here.
I almost saw one the other day on my bike, because they're round, and then the asphalt dips in about 6 to 8 inches all the way around.
Yeah.
Which we don't know.
Yeah, it's not.
There's lots to do there.
If the answer is no, that's fine. I was looking for a quick yay nay from the board. Should we
Forget about paving this year.
Should we forget about paving altogether, or should we ask Jason if it's possible to get quotes on that maintenance, paving maintenance? But I don't wanna ask for quotes and say no.
Yeah, that's much.
Certainly can if it's too much.
So you're saying get over maintenance from the,
It's just the leads onto Railroad Street Bridge that he was talking about.
Isn't it too late in the year to do paving though?
No, not like that. I mean,
It's still warm
Especially
and
this
dry.
it's gonna be 80
I'll say
degrees.
it's definitely,
next week?
it's definitely late for like a capital project. There'll still be a plant open after October 1st, but.
Little dinky jobs you can do all
Okay.
day long.
We can just forget about it. I thought about it the other day and said, crap, there was 2 different requests, and we're only looking at the big number, and we're looking at both. 2 in the spring,
No
yes.
problem in getting prices. See the cost.
Yeah.
Clear's mud down.
Wait, what?
Are you present at the meeting?
I was not, I was looking at, Rosemary just coincidentally sent something about paving, and I was trying to see if it was connected.
Jason, we said Jason can get quotes on. Maintenance on
Road
Grove
streets.
Street. Yeah.
If possible, if it's too late. Whatever. Letter of support, Tom, that's a you thing.
So this, I spoke with Art Puzo, today, just kind of wanted to make sure we had any questions for tomorrow and how things were going. And then it kind of came up that this was our last meeting before the application is due on September 30th. There already was agreements to do a joint letter, well, we never actually made a motion to do a joint letter of support, but there was discussion of it. But this is like today is the last chance to do a letter of support for their project. We've kind of shown full support, but this would just be formalization and something to put in, or at least we stated full support. But, to put a letter in with the application, and just the suggested motion here, bring it up now, would
I
be.
guess I kind of already thought that was done.
Yeah, well, I thought it was too, but it was actually pulled from the August 4th meeting. Never-
Yeah, I thought they didn't actually want letter of support at that time. They need to make that line item at some point.
Yeah, and so.
So like getting a hold of us last minute and they want it now.
Yeah, because they wanted to wait till, I'm not sure why they wanted to wait, but now they want it for September 30th. So authorize the chair or the administrator to sign a letter of support to be drafted after it has been reviewed by the chair and vice chair. So we're kind of giving, so the college is going to help draft a letter. It needed to be signed by Evan or I, but of course reviewed by Adrian and Evan first. So that way, nothing will go out without the board's blessing.
Fine with me.
So moved.
All right, I guess there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Did you
opposed?
get that done?
I think so, to authorize town administrator to sign the letter of support after it's drafted, after it's reviewed by the chair and vice chair.
Yeah.
Okay, I have 3 more additions that we started with. One is Rosemary would like approval for a liquor license for New Beverage LLC at 4495 Vermont Route 100C.
What's the name of the business?
NU Beverage LLC. It doesn't say what class, 2nd class liquor license and a tobacco license.
Where's
Yes,
this at? What's the address?
4495 Vermont Route 100C. Must be the guy on River Store.
COB House Inc. It shows on the map, or River
That's
Valley.
way up.
It's still in Johnson.
449-100.
That's the local station, Stone Johnson? Just before the bridge.
The Fred station is too, that's why you're talking about gas prices. So we got 2 other gas stations that are cheaper. We have, since I've been on board, not denied any tobacco or liquor licenses.
No, can't.
So, we did give Rosemary approval to sign renewals. I think this is a new one. Motion to approve the liquor and tobacco licenses for New Beverage LLC. Somebody want to make that motion?
Move to approve the liquor and tobacco license for
New Beverage LLC?
New Beverage LLC.
Motion, is there a second?
Go ahead.
Seriously?
Second.
I don't know where this place is, so. I'm
All those in
trying to-
favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
And the ayes have it. You're denying a liquor license?
Well, I don't know where this place is.
Deerfield, the child care center.
Prohibition,
For all I know,
biggest
it's
mistake
been-
America ever made.
I'm trying to see
Yeah,
what
one
it
of the
looks
big
like.
mistakes.
We don't understand.
Never should have done.
Oh, the Riverbend Market?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, yay. Yay.
All right, two more additions. One, and I have them in this order and I'm wrong, but I had municipal planning grant update from Paul. And then I had facilitator for hearing on Legion Field, but they're both Paul items, so.
Okay, well, if you don't mind, let's do the reverse order. The consultant for Legion Field. Backstory, VCRD was gonna do it, found out that we were the decision-making body for Legion Field, so they can't do it directly, so they agreed to fund the facilitator. They hooked us up with one, Carl and I both tried to reach out several times, she seems to have disappeared. So we're now talking to Boyd King to provide those services, since they're already hooked into the Johnson visioning stuff. The issue is, we would have to pay that facilitator, and then we'd get reimbursed by VCRD. So we're sort of spending town money, albeit only briefly. So I thought it prudent to put out an RFP, just that it's probably gonna be $5,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
$5,000 to be a facilitator.
Well, there'll be a couple meetings and there'll be some deliverables.
We agree, if we're getting a study done for their employee study for 4,000. And then we're paying $5,000 for somebody to conduct a couple of meetings.
No, they're doing like drawings and stuff too,
There'll be
right?
some,
I know, but really what it was gonna be used for the Tuesday Night Live, we're gonna put a skating rink on there and just let it go down. What do we need to do this big study for?
It's money out, money in.
I know, but the point is, why do we need to do this study?
well, originally when this came up, the board, I wasn't on the board at the time, agreed that you wanted an external facilitator because there's some
Because there was complaints from citizens.
discussion about, or disagreement about what the best use of Legion Field was.
I don't know if the dispute was even the use, it was the location of certain things.
Just the location of the bandstand, that was it.
That was what was being disputed heavily.
Yeah, and what is the deal? Just decide what that's gonna be and let it go with that.
Well, we also have money with BCRD that we have to use quick, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be sent by December, by the end of December.
So this is a way to use that and not lose it.
I know, but of all the years I've been on these boards, I get so sick of this. To tell you the truth, this money is available. If you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. And whether you need to use it or not, you have to use it because they're gonna lose it. I mean, I'm just sick of it, to tell you the truth. I think it's a waste of money. I think it could go to somebody else who could use it more than us. I'm just one board member. I'm sure I'm in the minority.
Probably.
Well, it's not money that we get to like choose what it goes to. It's,
I understand that, but $5,000,
I think you've got a point. It would be nice to not need this at all, so we can't just sit down and figure stuff out, but this is where we are.
Yeah, I
I would recommend we just go with it.
Can somebody motion to approve Paul to post the
Make a
RFP
motion.
with, that has been reviewed by Carl with recommending the date change on it?
so moved.
What, can you clarify exactly what you're moving?
Authorizing Paul to post an RFP for a facilitator for Legion Field hearing.
Ask a question. Is this,
You're gonna make it longer.
I am, but I think I might actually make the process easier. Is we've already approved zero match grants up to 5,000. If we know that if we have a facilitator lined up, we don't need an RFP, it's under 10,000, we don't need to go out to bid. You guys could just authorize the William King to do it, schedule it, and say not to exceed the zero match from VCRD, and then that motion then allows Paul to go forward, schedule it, and we don't even have to do an RFP.
That's where I started and talked to him, and then we decided
That
that
was
would be a good idea
very-
to put it out because
It's not really driven by a committee, it's driven by the board.
You guys, yeah.
So I strapped us because
I'm happy either way. And think
I am too.
This, having an RFP just sort of covers the fact that why did Joe Schmo get a chance to bid on this?
Yeah,
Why do we have to, William King?
I'm fine with just posting the RFP, do all the work for it. And
That's what I didn't know it was considered, sorry.
No, it's a good point. It's,
So Adrian's motion was for Paul to post the RFP for the Legion Field hearing facilitator.
With the date change as suggested by Carl.
Well, the date change as suggested by Carl. Exactly. Paul heard all the words. Is there a second to that?
Sure.
Peter's on it. Peter,
So we can have
second.
more discussion now.
More discussion.
Is this similar to like the Congress years ago when they didn't have guts enough to close military bases? So they got an outside entity to make these suggestions for the bases that need to be closed. Is this because this takes the select board off the hook, so we don't have to make hard decisions that might tick somebody off? Is this what this is about?
No.
Not at all. We're still making the decision of the ultimate device.
Yeah, the ultimate decision
Back to
has to
us.
go.
I understand that, but it looks to me like a base soldier.
I'll get you now. This decision circles back to us. We're gonna have to decide that the several different plans, we probably agree on, or something that.
We could still do this ourselves.
Good.
But we don't have to, because we're getting money.
Yeah, I know. Get somebody else's money to pay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Hey,
You guys have it. You have one more, Paul.
I do.
Municipal planning grant.
This one's a little bit longer, but I'll try to boil it down short. We currently have a village center designation, Johnson. Yeah, the designations for all those types of things are evolving at the state level. The new, I think, village center designation will grandfather us into what they're now calling downtown designations. As a little bit broader spectrum. But it catapults us into what they call step 2, which is sort of limited benefits. If we want to get to step 3 in the downtown designation, which has a bunch of benefits that can circulate, has more tax benefits, has state priority as far as funding for grants, it made them eligible, makes you eligible for a grant, so you're not eligible for otherwise, and so forth. However, one of the criteria for getting into that role is you gotta have some zoning. And base code meets part of that, but not all of it. So, where I'm going with all this, just as backstory. Tom had suggested that the select board go after the municipal planning grant to develop capital plan. That's something we talked about. Last year, the planning commission had met with LCPC and suggested we go after municipal planning grant to update our flood hazard bylaws, which we need to do to meet our state requirements, and revise home-based code so that those two don't conflict with each other. Last week, Jesse Goodworth and I met with Seth to revisit those plans in lieu of the select board interest in capital plan, and he suggested we go after a municipal planning grant and specifically target flood hazard bylaws, form-based code, and the start of a capital plan. He said step 1 would be a complete inventory of all town assets. It would be this first step towards capital plan for us. And he said having those 3 things in place would be viewed very favorably by the downtown group to try to get it class 3. So, again, I'm throwing it out there for consideration that we go after a municipal planning grant specifically to update our flood hazard bylaws, revise form-based code such that it, which is a process, I realize, matches the flood hazard bylaws, and make it town-wide and for town assets. With the goal of that being the first step in the capital plan.
When you say revise form-based codes that matches flood hazard bylaws, you're not changing the area. Just
Not
making
changing the
amendments
area, right, just
inside
making
the
sure there's no
current form-based
conflicting-
code area.
Sorry?
You're just making amendments inside the form-based code zones. You're not extending those zones.
I believe that's correct, just changing it so it's not a conflict between whatever we come up with fund housing bylaws and form-based code. If those two conflict, then, nobody's gonna know what they're gonna do.
We're not enacting zone. Sounds great.
So we go after the same, we do it, we don't have to adopt it, I mean, if you don't like it, right? You still have to go through the public hearing process and all that stuff, so it's not guaranteeing us to do anything, but it's saying, you got to write an application by sometime in November, I think November 1st, actually. So you can get that in and see if we can get the money for that separate.
If we get money for it, does LCPC work on it then?
Yeah,
Okay, with the planning commission?
How are we gonna enforce form-based code?
well, that would be part of, I think, what we need to look at is we currently have a system where that we don't enforce probably as well as we should. So
There's zero
we have to look
enforcement.
at.
It's not, don't enforce as well, there's zero.
Well, I'm not sure that's entirely true. We have some half a dozen permits in the end, I think, but it's not universally done.
6 or 7 since it was accepted in,
It's all been since I've been here. But
yeah,
it was adopted for,
I mean, you accepted the
It was a
first.
few years ago.
Yeah, and there's nobody enforcing it, so there's still tremendous amount of work that's happening with that.
Right. So whatever we come up with would have to be enforced.
Can we pick someone else to enforce it?
please.
Yeah, I mean,
Tom doesn't want to enforce it.
Okay, would another municipal worker like to? Maybe Lydia or Susan?
It should be a third party because the town becomes, I represent the board, I mean, in the public, and oftentimes your zoning administrator, your zoning should be separate from your board. Now, yes, this isn't zoning, but you should have a third party for form-based code to present that this is a problem or this is not a problem. When I do that, it's now the town versus a resident rather than a third party.
What do other towns, who do they choose?
It's have a
Yeah, zoning administrator.
Are
Yeah,
they
it
hired
depends,
someone?
it depends on the size of the town, but it's still an employee of the town, they just read the policy and enforce it.
yeah, I think part of it is an informational thing. You don't have to really know that we have that
No, definitely not.
because.
Even some people that know we have it.
I just issued one last week. I mean, it turned out that they were exempt, but, still, I said, you know what, this is pretty close, why don't you issue one, and then I'll make a formal apply exempt. I mean, so it's happening, people are aware, but it's,
So if
So
the
do
board
you need a
is
motion?
interested, I don't know if we need a motion or not. I just want to bring it up for everybody's awareness.
How much money is it? Or
30,000.
then you need a motion, right?
Well, it's a grant.
yeah.
Right, yeah, we're not spending it, it's a grant.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Another one of
you
those grants.
need to motion to authorize,
Are you applying?
when are you trying to apply by?
November 1st.
Is LCPC? So we got another meeting. LCPC needs to be included in the motion, could you just talk to them by our next meeting, we can make a formal motion?
Sure.
So I feel like
You
we
guys
really,
Seth to come and talk about it? Yeah,
No.
No,
too much time, okay.
I don't need too much information.
are we good?
Okay, so. I'm just checking on that.
It sounds to me like the board's interested in pursuing it.
Why can't we just make a motion tonight?
I think,
If you feel good, just make a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve, that Paul can go after this grant for $30,000 for LCPC. Yes,
A municipal planning grant
yeah,
for the first stages of a capital plan,
For the hazard bylaws and form-based code.
about hazard bylaws and form-based code modification
yes.
without modifying the area.
That
All
extends
right, is there a
the
second?
area around the- Second.
Sure, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it, we're good to go.
Can I go back one question? Should this RFP come from me? or just the board in general. I put my name on it, so nobody else could think for writing, but
You're good.
Who do you want the responses to go to, you or?
well, I was gonna suggest Carl. 'cause
So I would put Carl's name on
Deal.
it. So like that questions and responses go to Carl.
There,
I texted you about that, like a clause to say, have this, make sure it's conducted with the next number of days or something. So it doesn't-
Okay,
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion then for executive session.
Move we enter executive session for pending or probable civil litigation or a prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party according to 1 VSA section 313A1E.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion on the floor in a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, and the ayes have it, the board is entering executive session at 10:05. Donna, I do not foresee any action coming out of executive session. Tom, the MOU.